And I think we are live. So we're gonna start this. We're gonna start this live stream the way we start every live stream, with a sound check. This would be a lot easier if I had a producer sitting over here next to me, doing stuff. But I don't. It's just me and you guys, which I love. But I'm gonna have to rely on you guys to make sure my audio sounds okay. Sound is great, says Dorkstick. Super appreciate that. I've turned it up about a quarter of a turn over here on my Scarlett, whatever the hell it's called. And I think over the course of the last week, I fixed one of the audio issues I've been having, besides the sound being low. Some of you may have picked up that some of my audio has like cracks and pops and kind of just some background garbage in it. So I had to install the Focusrite app to set the throughput buffer or whatever it's called. And I think we got it. So yeah, so everybody is saying, so we got Dorkstick, Cyberpunk, both say the sound is good. Thank you guys for being here. Simon, Simone, I'm not sure which of those it is, but thank you for joining. Glad to have you here. Who else we got here? Chalupa says hi from Portugal. Love having you here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Really do appreciate that. Nighthawk ATL, one of my Discord mods and my YouTube mods, is also here. Says the audio sounds good. Glad to have Nighthawk here as well. Not really much planned for the stream. I might show you guys kind of behind the scenes how I manage some of my server stuff. I've got a bunch of updates that I need to do, and I thought maybe you guys could follow along, or not necessarily come along, not follow along. You guys probably have a much better solution than I do. But yeah, I thought maybe we could take a look at some of that. You could see my process for how I do some of that. But yeah, no, it's been a week. I'll tell you. Obviously, you guys have seen the fiasco with my car and losing the synchros, most likely in second gear. Like, I can still technically drive it, but it doesn't make me feel all warm and fuzzy driving it when second gear is super mushy. Like, I can still use second gear, but it does not feel right. So, of course, the day after that happened, the area that I'm in got like several inches of snow, and the roads were a disaster, and half of the state was shut down. So I wasn't able to get my car into the transmission shop this week. And of course, tomorrow, being Veterans Day, means that their shop is also going to be closed then. So maybe Tuesday I can take my car in and get an idea of what that's going to look like for a repair cost, and hopefully get the funds figured out for that. And then because it's how life goes, yesterday morning I woke up at my normal ungodly early hour to find that my kitchen was flooded. The dishwasher in my kitchen, the valve solenoid thing that basically the water comes in from like under your sink into this valve solenoid, and it opens and closes based on what the thing is doing. That had just gotten old and brittle and sheared off. So it dumped, I don't know how many 10s or 20s or whatever gallons of water in my kitchen overnight. So that was a mess to deal with. And then I found out whoever did the flip on the house like 12 years ago before I moved in, like they took the spout that comes up under the sink that goes to the faucet, and they did a tee off of that, but they didn't put any kind of a turn off valve to the water to the dishwasher. So my options yesterday were no hot water at all, hot water, but then dumping all over my floor constantly, or spending another $300 on a refurbished dishwasher. So I got to do that yesterday. That took up a good chunk of my day yesterday, partially because I had to wait for the place to open, and then I had to go get it, and then I had to take out the old one, and then I realized that the install kit that I had on the old one wouldn't work with the new one, so then I had to go to the store and get a new install kit. And then the install was super simple. After that, it wasn't a big deal. But that took up a good chunk of my day yesterday. And of course, like another $300 that I didn't really want to spend on that, but that's going to get resolved here shortly. So it's been a week, and of course, because the weather was so crazy here, my kid was home all week with not being able to go do his daily thing because everything was shut down. So it's been it's been an adventurous week, and I'm glad the weather is lightening up. And hopefully this week we're gonna get back on track with some stuff. So yesterday I was able to get a video out, which I was super happy about. That video is doing well. Yeah, so sorry, I've got somebody who's been trying to call me for the last few minutes, and I don't know why. So I'm gonna respond to this message just here real quick. I apologize. I can't talk right now. Sorry. Play here. Sorry, family member in Idaho. I don't know if the issue is, or if they're calling because they just want to chat, which I don't know why. We just chatted yesterday, or if there's an actual issue. So I thought I would address that real quick just to make sure. Cyberpunk says let's see. Nighthawk says, sounds like my life at times. Dude, I get it, man. It's we were actually chatting about that in Discord this morning or yesterday about kind of one of those when it rains it pours kind of situations, and it is definitely trying to pour on me right now. But yeah, no, it's been an adventure of a week. It's really kind of tested my patience, and it has made me kind of have to adjust some of my medications to help me not want to scream. So, but everything's going okay. I'm gonna be fine. Like luckily we've got 2 cars, so even while my car isn't 100% operational, like yesterday I took my wife's hatchback to go get a new dishwasher, or a refurb dishwasher, because I didn't want to spend $1,000 on a dishwasher. So I found a refurb model, looks good, works good. That's all I care about. But we've usually almost always got a contingency plan or a backup for most everything. So, no, everything's going all right. It's just been hectic. It's been a lot all at once, and that's always kind of a test of one's patience. That's funny. Durden, am I the only one who read CRUD and wondered whether we were talking about databases? Yeah. I've always hated databases. Like I've always hated having to parse data from databases and go through the CRUD process. I've never been an application builder. It's never been my thing, but I've run into situations where I've had to do stuff like that. And it just isn't my forte. Great. So they left a message. They left me a voicemail, but won't respond. Will it? Of course not. Awesome. Super not helpful. Anyway, so I was just checking to see what kind of messages I had from the call that I declined. But no, everything's been going okay. I've been trying to get more content out lately, and it's been kind of a struggle, and a struggle for a couple of reasons. One, this weekend's just been screwy, or this week has been kind of screwy, but I've been having kind of a harder time finding projects that I'm interested in making content about. Like I've got some hardware I've still got to review. I've got a couple of Asus ProArt monitors that I'm going to do reviews on. They're amazing. I love them. But those are coming in the next week or so. Probably next weekend I'll do one of those. And I was actually chatting with Ethan Shawley from the Self-Host podcast, and he's given me a little bit of a behind the scenes look at his analytics for his site. A little floater there, that may help me kind of rethink some of my content. So anyway, that's been going all right. I just got to come up with ideas for new content. But yeah, so I just thought, I don't think we did a live stream last week, and I thought, let's do one today. So I hope you guys are all doing well. What's your create, read, update, delete for databases. Yeah, no, absolutely. Excuse me. There it is. There's all those different acronyms for different things. Everything lately, everything is either an acronym or an initialization, and that's sometimes it's a lot to keep up with, especially because there seems to be a new acronym or initialization like every day, and it's me as an old man yelling at a cloud here, but it's like how are we all supposed to keep up with all of the all of the constantly evolving language and slang, man, sometimes it's a lot to keep up with. And I guess because I'm on social media so much, it helps. But my wife, who doesn't spend nearly as much time on social media as I do, is often very confused about what does this string of letters mean. So sometimes we have to talk about that, and sometimes I have to figure it out on the fly, contextually speaking, and that's even more frustrating sometimes because I'm not entirely sure I know what they meant, or if that's what they meant, or if I'm wrong, or maybe they fat fingered something and what I think it is isn't what it is. I just never know these days. So yeah. So let's see. Man, I am really bad with names. Tunke Ihan. I apologize. I know I screwed that up. Hi, thanks for joining. Really appreciate you being here. I'm glad to have everybody here who is here. Looks like there are 22 people here hanging out with me. I appreciate that. Let's see. The Durgeon says, "Hey DB, I saw updates and wanted to ask, what is your experience of updating VM's operating system? I tried recently and it didn't go well." That's an interesting question because I don't know what you mean. It didn't go well. So my process is fairly straightforward. All of my VMs are on that white and blue box back there, my HL15. And it's all set up via Proxmox. And then on the Synology that's up on that top rack up there, I have a Proxmox backup server virtual machine. So all of everything that's on the HL15 down there gets backed up every night. I'm just super paranoid like that. I want to make sure that if anything goes wrong, I won't lose more than probably just a few hours worth of data, whatever it happens to be. So I've always make sure that I've got my updates, which I've done this morning, but then I just go in and I run the commands to do the updates. Let's see, I updated Ubuntu, got a lot of stuff. Oh, okay. So we're talking like big version updates. Let's see, I got a lot of soft lockups and watchdog problems, had to recreate them all on 2204, and they were fine after that. Yeah, like I agree with Nighthawk there. Sometimes big version updates, from 20 to 22, sometimes those big version updates can be a little finicky, and that sucks. But I always try to make sure I've got good updates, and then that way if something goes wrong, I can roll back until I can find a solution. But I'll do an apt update, apt upgrade, and then depending on if I'm going for like a big update from 20 to 22, I think there's an apt dist upgrade or something like that will do that full upgrade for you in theory. But oftentimes those big jumps run into issues, and you've got to read through the documentation for things to keep an eye out for. If it isn't broke, don't try to fix it. Just update the packages and the kernels that come. Yeah, especially with I think 20.04 is an LTS, which is a long-term support. Ubuntu 20.04. Yeah, 2004 at least .6 is an LTS, long-term support. Let's see. Let's actually take a look. Let's look at this together if I can. Yeah, there we go. I don't know if this will actually say how long it's going to be supported. Support end date on 2004. Yeah, so like you've got until April of next year before 2004 EOLs. So yeah, I would probably leave it alone until they've got something, a more clear upgrade path, at least for the time being. Like I said, you've got until April, so like 5 months, give or take. Let's see. Trying to get better about using my Stream Deck down here to make these go a little bit better. First snapshot, backup, the Ansible for update. Yeah, like Cyberpunk's talking about Ansible and all of that kind of stuff. Ansible's scary. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it can absolutely be scary. In fact, I think I've got it mostly turned off. I'd have to actually take a look. I don't remember what my Ansible IP is here. No, it's, oh yeah, I do. I'm dumb. It's local. Hold on. I'm looking at something here. Local containers, semaphore. Let's do that. Let's take a look. ED continue. 185. Why are you not so confused? Why aren't you loading? That's strange. Oh, well, that's that explains a lot. I don't know how long that's been going on, but that shows you. That rather shows you how how often I actually get in here. It's been unable to connect to the database for a while, so that's fun. Well, let's do this. Stacks, semaphore. Let's just update the stack and click update there. And let's then see what happens. Just going to see if I can update my semaphore that's apparently been down for a while. Because again, semaphore is scary, and I had to create some issues with some things, which means I need to go back and actually manually update a whole bunch more stuff than I thought. There we go. Let me get logged in. There we go. Let's see. Oof. Oh, it's been down for a long time. That's embarrassing. It looks like the last thing it did was September 22nd, and it failed miserably. So I got some stuff to look through. But yeah, I'm still not proficient in Ansible and semaphore and all of that kind of stuff. Even though I've got it set up and I think I've got some of it right, it can be a lot. It can be a lot to deal with. Let's see. I think it's the apt dist releases. Yeah, Durden, I apologize if I got that wrong, but yeah, the apt dist release, I think you're right. And absolutely, sometimes those can go wrong. All of the 04s are LTS. That's actually good to know. I wasn't aware that there was, and I'm not surprised, but I wasn't actually familiar with the 04s being LTS. So thanks. I just learned something. Collins is here. Yay. Wife just got back from dropping off 3. Who's fishing? Hissing. Uh-oh. Another hole in the tire. That sucks. Leo Tech Info says, guys, I need help. Maybe we can help, Leo. Let's see. Four Eyes Leo says, can you tell us a little bit how you document your home lab, if at all, and how detailed? Yeah, it's not pretty. So let's switch over to my desktop here. This is that. So basically what I do is I've got Git set up. Basically, if you're not familiar with that, it's like a self-hosted GitHub setup. There's so many of these. There's a new one that popped up recently, at least popped up for me recently, called ForgeGo. But basically, that's it. That's how I document my home lab, is I just keep track of what's on what IP, and that's really as far as I've taken it. Is just making sure that I know which IPs go to which services, and that's really about all I do as far as documenting my home lab. I really need to be better about it. Like, I need to make sure I've got backups of all of my Docker Compose files, and I need to make sure that I've got backups of all of this stuff available in my repository here. But I don't have those because apparently I hate myself. I don't know how else to say that. Let's see. So I apologize for not having a better answer for that Four Eyes Leo there, but that's really all I've got documented here. I need to do a better job. I really do. I just haven't. Any home network system updates require a pot of coffee, noise canceling headphones, and time. Yeah, and that's honestly why. Like, I've got a couple of stuff on my Omada setup that I haven't updated in a while, because I don't want to deal with the downtime of it. Like I know it's only going to be 10, 15 minutes or whatever, but it's just, I don't want to deal with the downtime. I don't want to deal with all of the nonsense that goes with updating some of that hardware. And I'm actually getting ready, hopefully here soonish. I'll likely be updating my my home network to a completely different platform, just for the sake of simplicity, keeping kind of dumbing things back down, because I've got a decent home network through Amada, but I recently discovered that Amada's logging is garbage. I was unaware of that when I asked for the Amada setup, and I've actually had it for more than a year. And it was only recently when a few of us in Discord were talking about, or we're doing some investigating into a product that a company reached out to me about, or a service, I guess. It's an application firewall. Anyway, I realized I didn't have any logging for what my things were actually doing, and I'm blown away that this Amada, the small business setup Amada networking solution, doesn't have logging for what your devices are doing. Blew my mind. I'm super frustrated by that. And so it's encouraged me to look at changing my entire network because of that. It's ridiculous that Amada doesn't have device logging as a small business themed networking solution. Blew my mind. I think the semaphore is cool, but I use local Gitty and server as a Jenkins cluster to run my playbooks. That's cool. I dig that. No, Leo, I can't help you with Chromebook stuff. Those videos came from a different version of this channel. I don't do Chromebook stuff anymore. Chromebooks are getting really, really powerful for what they are. But the solutions that I used in those videos, some of them just don't exist anymore. They were solutions built by other people who were able to then, through those methods, I was able to install a bootloader that somebody else created that gave us a standard BIOS or a very basic BIOS. I don't even think it was UEFI at that point, that allowed us to then install operating systems of x86 operating systems on them. My biggest frustration with those videos is people will say, well, how do I do this on a Chromebook XVR 758925? I don't have a clue. Like, did you watch the video? Did you read the instructions that were in the video description? Like, I'm very clear in those videos that only certain things are compatible, and that the compatibility chart is available in the video description. But people are like, well, you make a video about how to do it on this specific thing. No, I don't have a million devices. I bought one Chromebook one time and made like a dozen videos about it. Like I milked that Chromebook. In fact, I think it's still in the living room, but those videos are so old, but they still work for people who read the description, who go to the websites. And if they don't work, then I can't be held accountable for those services, those other platforms not being available. I used what was available years ago, and I don't know at that point what else is going on. I use DocMost to keep track of a lot of things in my home lab. It isn't perfect. I'm still working on it. Monitoring software. See, Thomas W. says there must be an active monitoring software, Docker or VM, to let you know the status and required updates to help sort that out. There is. Ansible will do that. Ansible will absolutely do that. But I also, as far as like LXCs and VMs, I would use Ansible for that. But for like Docker containers, I use Watchtower and I use Godify for that. In fact, I made a Godify video not that long ago, maybe a couple of months ago, where I talk about exactly that, where I've got Watchtower installed on all of my LXCs and my Docker servers, and I have it set so that it only notifies me that there's an update. In fact, while we're talking about it, I'll just show you. Here's this. Right. So if I come into here, let's just go to home. In fact, I don't know why I did that. Yeah. So this is for my semaphore. LXC, right? And here I've got Watchtower, and it checks once a day to see if there are any updates. And like all of these, let me just do this. Like all of these are separate LXCs on the server behind me, or VMs, whatever. But they've all got Watchtower installed on them alongside Portainer. So anytime I've got a container update available for you know, whether it's Portainer or HedgeDoc or LinkStack or WordPress or whatever, right? Watchtower will check for that update and then use Gotify to send me notifications on my phone. I've got Gotify, the app, on my phone, and it then lets me know what updates I need to do. And then I use this page right here, this Gotify page, as kind of a to-do list, right? Like I'll go back over to like Portainer, and it's like, okay, well, Video Vote has some updates, right? So I'll come over to here, and these are all I can see and connect all of these different servers or all of these LXCs or VMs or whatever through Portainer agents. So then I can come up here to the search bar and I can type in like video, and right there is Video Vote. And then I can jump right into that Portainer instance. And here I can see, like here, like for instance, right, Portainer agent, like that full name is there, that full image name is there, so I know it's good. But if I take a look at the image for like Cloudflare tunnels, that's just got a random string of characters. Same for Portainer, same for the app for Video Vote. All of those have a random string of characters, so I know that those need to be updated. And the easiest way for me to do that at this point is to like come into here, click on Recreate, click Repull Image, and click Recreate. Then it's going to go through a process of just that quickly. Now Cloudflare, the Docker container for my Cloudflare tunnels is up and running with the newest version available to it. So then I can go through all of the different things in that list of things that need to be updated. I don't know why I came back to myself here, but like I could do the same thing. I can't do it with Portainer, I don't think, but I come into here again, because it's got this random string of characters. I know that one needs to be updated. Again, I can click Recreate, and I can repull the image and click Recreate. We'll give this a minute to do what it needs to do. There we go. So now it's starting, right? So really the only other thing I need to do here is Portainer. And conveniently, I've got a script for that over here. So if I come over to my notes and go into Update Portainer, like I've got all of the commands written out, but I've also got this script right here. That's just a single line script. So this is the one I'm working on right now is for Video Vote. So I can actually come over here to my HL15. I can find Video Vote. I can go into my console. I can exit, clear my screen, and then I can just run this command. So what it did was it stopped Portainer, it removed the Portainer image, it pulled the new version of Portainer and deployed Portainer. So now if I come back to here, now we can see everything is healthy, everything is running, everything there looks good. So then I can come back over to Gotify and I can delete that. And then I would go through that same process with all of the different things that are here on this Gotify page. So that's how I manage all of my updates for Docker containers, whether it's on an LXC or a VM. I want to manually make sure that I go through each of those myself because in the past, I have used Watchtower to just do updates consistently. And the problem with that is that it can break things. If there are breaking changes in the update where maybe the Docker Compose changed or the database schema changed, just having an automatic update run by like Watchtower or any of the others that are out there can devastate your setup. So I quit doing those for the most part. I've got some on my Synology that I still use Watchtower for because I don't care. They're not mission critical. If I have to redeploy them, it's not a big deal. There's no data to be lost there for what I'm doing. So that's how I update all of my stuff, at least with regards to Docker containers. I get notifications that way. And again, you can get notifications about updates for like LXCs and VMs and operating systems, that sort of thing, using something like Ansible. So that was a really, really long answer, and I apologize for that, but only a little bit. So Look into Apticron. What else we got here? Thanks for DocMost. Yeah, DocMost is cool. I dig it. I actually made a video about that a while back as well. Yeah, Thomas, here's the thing. Thomas says, has nightmares of going through my home lab home server and trying to find out what needs updating and updating its stats. Yeah, like I would get Watchtower set up with just notifications, and then set up something like Watchtower's got all kinds of different ways to get notified when there are updates to be done. So I would actually check out my Go to 5 video. I think I've actually got some stuff in there that'll be helpful for you. And that way you can at least get notified when there are updates about your Docker containers without having to get into like Ansible and Semaphore and that sort of thing. But that's what I do. So please, one last question. How does it feel to start a channel from 2009 to 2024? So that's an interesting question. So, God, is my channel really technically that old? Because here's the thing. Let me see. Yeah, March 20th of 2009. Here, let me do this. All right, so go back to my desktop here. So here's my channel, right? You guys are familiar with this, and if I come in here, I can take a look. Right there, March 20th of 2009. So here's the thing, right? If we go into my videos, and then we do oldest, my channel started about fish. Yeah, I was big into fish back then. Like I'm still into fish. I've still got an aquarium with Oscars in it, not these Oscars, but new Oscars. And it was very different. This was, I don't think I said much of anything in most of my early videos. I didn't like the sound of my voice. I didn't like talking on camera. It made me uncomfortable. But yeah, so it started out with fish mostly. I made a video about how to replace the heater core in a 1998 Volvo, because why not? Then I got into, I had one of the Fitbit charges, one of the first ones, and there was this huge issue with their bands being garbage as far as the way they were glued on, and they just kept coming apart. So I made a video about it, and it was this video right here. It was only meant for the people at Fitbit to see. It was for a warranty claim. And obviously I presented very, very differently then than I do now. So I made this video about this issue I was having, and that video over the last 9 years got 303,000 views. And it's not even what my videos or my channel's about anymore. I made another video about saber-tooth motherboard having crackling and popping issues. It was just a thing with that board. Another update about the Fitbit issue that I was having. So it wasn't, and then, so that was all 9, 12, so 13 years ago, and then 13 years ago, 12 years ago, 11 years ago, 9 years ago. You can see huge gaps in this content. Then I started doing product reviews, and that started to get kind of fun. And then I started doing like more product reviews, and then I started doing like virtualization, like on VirtualBox. More product reviews, more virtualization, more product reviews. This was actually a really, really cool watch. There's this Trasense hybrid smartwatch. It was actually really neat. It was a great looking watch. It was really well built. It was a smartwatch with an analog face, and there were these little lights on it that would do different like light up, beep, and vibration sequences that they would tell you what notifications you were getting. I loved it. And then more stuff, and so like all of this was very different to what I'm doing now. It was a mix of like, here's some of that Chromebook stuff that we were talking about a minute ago. 456,000 views, but that was 2018, right? Like a lot has changed on Chromebooks with regards to that. But I don't like, I'm glad I did a lot of this early content because it got me comfortable on camera. It got me thinking about how to shoot different things, that sort of thing. Like this video right here, this wireless M570 wireless trackball mouse. I had an office space for like 2 months in a building where I was working for a guy who was working, like renting some office space from another guy, and the guy needed to rent out more office space, but because the building was so empty, he was willing to just give me an office for a while so that he could show the office space being fuller than it technically actually was. And then I kind of had a falling out with everybody about that. So, but yeah, so like that one, that was in an office space that I had 9 years ago. But yeah, so all of this kind of led to, obviously, to where I am now. And I'm glad I did those videos because, again, it gave me the opportunity to get comfortable on camera and think about how to shoot, how to record my screen, how to shoot product reviews, how to edit. It was an early practice into that, and I'm really glad I did it. It gave my channel some exposure a couple of different ways. But yeah, and then, gosh, when was it? This was all 4 years ago. Like how to install a Minecraft server on Raspberry Pi, how to install Open Media Vault on a Raspberry Pi. This was my first kind of real self-hosting video, which was installing Open Media Vault 4 and Plex Media Server on an old PC. That's the video right there that got me. Oh, you can't see it. Damn it. I am here. My bad. So this video right here was my first foray into self-hosting, and it was Open Media Vault 4 with Plex. And because back then in Open Media Vault 4 days, they had a lot of plugins, including a Plex plugin that you could just like one click and it was installed. And then you could go in and configure your paths and all that kind of stuff. But as soon as I released that, I shared it on Reddit and I got decimated by somebody over there telling me that I was wasting everybody's time. And he's like, if you're going to do this, learn Docker, learn all of this stuff, and then try again. So I did, right? I actually did, with his help to a certain degree. And then I made a follow-up video, and we can see the difference in views there, like one video to the next. Obviously, this is over the course of 4 years, right, for those views. But yeah, so that was, Open Media Vault 4 got me started, and then Open Media Vault 5 was really where I got started in producing content about home servers and self-hosting and that sort of thing. And then from there, we've done all kinds of different things here on the channel. And a lot of you guys have been here for a long time and have seen the evolution of the channel from where it was to where it is. And thank you guys for following along with some of that. So, let's see. Cyberpunk says, hacking Chromebooks reminds me of when I hacked my old console. Yeah, lots of people did that. Alejandro, thank you for joining, man. Appreciate you being here. I agree with what Jurgen here says about Mr. Chromebox. I would definitely look that up. There absolutely is a risk of breaking your device, but you can always run backups of your firmware and restore it if you follow the instructions properly. Let's see. Yeah, the only machine that lets me know of an update is Zima OS. Yeah, and they're really good about that. Here's the other thing. Because you mentioned the Zima OS thing, Portainer actually has like a pro or a business version or whatever. I guess it is business edition, where you can have it installed in like 3 nodes for free. And it will also throw up a little indicator like Zima OS does, or Casa OS, I think might even do it. But anyway, the Portainer Business Edition will also throw a red dot next to your containers that need to be updated. And I think you can get like 3 installs of Portainer Business installed for free, though there are kind of ways around that. I'm not encouraging you to do that, but other people here in the chat have verified that they've got like well over 3 to 5, 6, 7 instances of Portainer Business on their network that it works across all of them, even though technically it's supposed to be a limit of 3. It used to be 5, now it's 3. Yep. Mom, it looks like Collins already beat me to that. So thank you for that, Collins. Appreciate that. Yeah, your channel is older than my oldest kids. Yeah. That's crazy. Tenmei says, any health updates? A few, nothing crazy. I had to go in for a round of phlebotomy. If you're not familiar with that, it's literally they took out a pint of blood. 16. Was it a pint? Yeah, it must have been a pint. They took out a pint of blood last month, I think. And basically, for the foreseeable future, I'll be going in about every 12 weeks, and they'll just take a pint of blood because I'm producing too much blood for some reason. Originally, there was some concern that it might be as a result of hypoxia, because your red blood cells are what carry, amongst other things, they carry oxygen throughout your body. And if you're hypoxic, meaning like your oxygen saturation is too low, your body will often try to compensate by producing too much or producing more blood to get more oxygen to the rest of your body. It turned out to not to be hypoxia, though we're still not entirely sure what the issue is. But I do have another meeting. I've got a meeting with my hematologist again here in a few weeks, where we're going to talk about some of that again. I went to National Jewish late last month or early this month. I think it was late last month. All my days just kind of float together anymore. But anyway, saw a cardiologist up there. I didn't need that appointment. It was actually made prior to some other stuff, but I was like, if I can get my foot in the door up there, because they're a badass hospital. I was like, if I can get my foot in up there, I'll do that. And they did some tests. They ran some numbers. They ran some more blood work. Got my numbers back. Everything actually looks pretty good. I should rephrase that. Everything looks pretty good for me. Like the normal numbers that you would get when you go get your blood work done, your numbers would be your normal would be different than my normal because of my underlying condition. And that's just something I had to learn to deal with a long time ago. So some of my numbers look normal for the sake of normality, like you and I would have the same numbers. However, some of my other normals would be bad for you, but are fine for me. However, for some reason, I think it's my cholesterol is up, and I don't understand that because I've been eating better. But I'll deal with that later. But for the most part, things are chilling out finally. I think. Last week and like the 2 weeks prior to that, I kind of felt like crap. Just no energy, just lots of flu-like symptoms. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know if it was the flu. I don't know if it was COVID. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like garbage for a couple of weeks. But I'm pretty much over that at this point. So yeah, it's just at this point it's kind of maintenance and more doctor's appointments for checkups and more blood work periodically, and then they'll about every 12 weeks they'll take a pint of blood, and that'll just be me for a while until we figure out why I've got the erythrocytosis, which is the overproduction of red blood cells, elevated hemoglobin, and elevated red blood count. There's another one in there that I'm missing, but anyway, the erythrocytosis is the condition. It's also known as polycythemia vera. No. Secondary polycythemia, not polycythemia vera. It's secondary polycythemia is what it's also called, but I don't like that term because it confuses me with the polycythemia vera. So yeah, that's kind of the medical update. Mostly good news at this point. Still trying to figure some stuff out, but nothing has gotten worse other than I think my lipid panel was higher than I wanted it to be. Cyberpunk says, I like your setup for updates in the notification system. It's nice. Maybe setting up a script to curl from Gitty. Yeah. I need to learn more. I need to learn more about Ansible and Semaphore, that sort of thing. The problem is that, and I know I could just skip that one container or that one VM, but it's just getting it scheduled so that it doesn't interrupt what I'm doing throughout my day. That's the hardest part for me. And so sometimes it's easier for me to just be like, oh, I've got an hour. Let me just sit down and knock this stuff out real quick. I don't mind doing that. And it kind of it keeps me on task, keeps me on focus to know what's going on. And it keeps me more hands-on with my stuff that's going on back there. Let's see. Quantum Knot's got little fish icons. Those are cute. I like that. Nighthawk says that's the Trek ball I have. Yeah, man. I've been using. This is the Ergo M575. I've also got the Ergo 575 MX, which is basically this on a little tilty platform. I've got that on my other system in the house. I love them. I've literally been using them for, man, how long? Nine years ago is when I made that 570 video, and I've actually been using them longer than that, but that's when I made the video. So yeah, big fan of trackballs. Super weird to get used to at first, because you're used to moving your hand all over your desk, and now you're literally just like you're just moving your thumb. But like I used to play Sniper Elite 3 mouse and keyboard with a trackball. Because it just, after a while, you can snap your mouse around and you can be real quick with the trackball if you're comfortable with it. And I love the Logitech, Logitech M5 7X series. Really big fan of those. Symbiote says, you really inspired me to start uploading videos of my tech projects. Dude, that's amazing. I will have to check out. I'm gonna. Symbiote. Let's see if I can find you. I'm curious. Of course, I'm going to get all of the Venom stuff there, but I'll see if I can find you later. I'd like to see what you're doing. Let's see. 13 years ago, we were all so young. Yeah, right? That's no joke. 2018 was an eternity ago. Dude, that's 100%, man. The Chromebook that I got was an Intel-based Chromebook, and I didn't do that on purpose. There was just a really good sale on Chromebooks that day at Best Buy, so I bought one. And then I realized that I could hack it and make a lot of content with it, so that's what I did. Mr. Grey Wolf says, you've come quite a ways, and I'm glad to be here for the journey forward. I'm glad to have you here, man. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's see. Black market blood cells help pay for that. Dude, right? So, it's funny that you say that. Cause like I asked not for the blood for obvious reasons, cause I didn't want them to think I was a serial killer, but I was like, so what do you guys do with this? Cause like she had my little pint of blood in a bag, and she's like, well, it goes in the incinerator. So yeah, when they take that blood, depending on why they're taking it, obviously, it just goes in an incinerator and it gets burned up and it goes away. But I guess people have asked her for that bag of blood in the past. Theirs, not mine, for the record. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't want to know what those people are doing. I know there are artists who use their blood for art. I think some of that's amazing. But you usually take your own, or you've got a friend who will do it for you. You don't go to the hospital for that. But yeah, so it was. I would love to be able to do that, but they won't let me. They won't let me take my blood home and sell it, so I can pay for that transmission fix. Do you know much about dark web or Tor browsers? I don't. I don't do much on Tor or the dark web. I did a couple of times just out of curiosity, and I realized I don't care. Like, I don't even want to get mixed up in the possibility of that going tragically wrong. So I just don't. The closest thing to like dark web stuff is I might set up a Tailscale network to keep off of the main internet for certain things. But besides that, I don't deal with Tor and the Onion router. I don't deal with any of that because there are absolutely good reasons to do that for the sake of journalism, right? There are absolutely good reasons to do that for countries who are behind really strict firewalls, right? There are good reasons to do that, but those types of places don't get used mostly for good. They just don't. There's a lot of really, really awful stuff on that area that I just don't want to be associated with. I don't want to be near it. I don't want to accidentally run across it. So I haven't installed a Tor browser or any of that in 10 years or more. Or whatever. I don't want anything to do with it. JD's here. Glad to have you here, man. Thanks for showing up and hanging out. Mash says, thank you for the awesome content you provide. You're very welcome. Thank you for watching it. Thanks for hanging out here today. Really appreciate that. What software do you use to back up? So Thomas asked, what software would you use to back up all your VMs, LXCs, and Proxmox and Docker stuff to migrate to a new server? I use Proxmox backup. It's really just that easy. So I've got my Proxmox server. Again, it's the HL15 back there. And then on my Synology device up here, one of them anyway, I've got a Proxmox backup server there. And if I want to move an LXC or a VM from this to something else, I set up the new device, I put Proxmox on it, I connect to that backup server on the Synology, and then I just restore the backup, and then I shut down the one that's active on the HL15. And it's seamless, it's smooth, it takes no time at all. Of course, that depends on the size of the VM or the LXC, your network connection, your hardware. But I haven't had any issue like moving things around when I've had to do it. It's been really, really seamless using Proxmox and Proxmox backup server. It's so seamless. Though some people will argue and say that there are other ways to do it, and they're right, there are. But if you want the most truly seamless way to do it, Proxmox backup server is the way to do it. What else we got here? Ooh. Collins, thank you, man. I appreciate you gifting those subscriptions or those memberships. That's awesome. That's amazing. Really super appreciate that. Okay, so Thomas says I need to shut down my current setup and transfer some cards and components. Yeah, so I would, if at all possible, I would set up a Proxmox backup server on a VM because it's just installed via a VM on a NAS. Man, that was painful. So I've got a VM, a Proxmox backup server set up on a NAS. I would back up all of my VMs and my LXCs and all of that stuff to that backup server, then shut down your Proxmox server, build the new server, connect the new server to the Proxmox backup server, and then just pull everything down and redeploy it. That's how I would do it. In fact, that's how I did it. When I moved, I had a couple of mini PCs that were my Proxmox server for a long time. And yeah, I built the HL15 with Proxmox on it, got it all configured, and then just moved everything to the backup server and pulled it down to the HL15 and shut down the mini PCs. In fact, I think in the video where I showed that, I didn't even shut them down. I just unplugged them. And I did that deliberately to trigger people. Like I deliberately did that because I knew people would be upset that I just pulled the plug. I was in a mood that day and I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna pull the plug. And that's what I did. And I got comments about it with people being super, super upset that I unplugged the device rather than going through a shutdown. I don't care about the data that's on that device at this point because it's already up and running on the other device. So, Dominic says, do you know of any video editing software you can run in Docker? I do not. I don't. For the related stuff, Mental Outlaw has your fix. I don't know who that is. That's where you do. I really appreciate your self-hosting videos. Was able to start my mini home lab and VPN setup off of Pi 5 and was able to get... Dude, that's awesome, Yo-Yo. I'm really, really glad to hear that. I'm stoked that you were able to get something set up. Selling your blood sounds like an OnlyFriends kind of thing. I mean, look, the places like whether it's the Red Cross or whether it's hospitals or whatever, those places need blood donations. I have received probably a dozen blood transfusions over the last 8 years. Most of that was in 2016, but I've received a lot of blood transfusions over the years because people donated blood. So I'm only alive because of blood donations, and that's not hyperbole. That's literally, I lost so much blood in 2016 that I'm only alive because of that. If you can, you should. I absolutely believe everybody should donate blood. I looked into it for quite a while. I can't because of all of my medical stuff. I can't donate blood, and that sucks because I really wanted to. Because I know how much they saved the blood donations and transfusions saved my life. I feel like everybody should donate blood. But that's a personal choice. Obviously, I don't want to guilt somebody into it, but I really think that if you can and you're comfortable with it, I think everybody should donate blood. Network and IT is rocket science to me, but watching your tutorials has really helped me. I appreciate that, Yo-Yo. I really do. Networking stuff is still a mystery to me in some regards, especially when it comes to firewalls. I've got a default firewall built in to my home or into my networking that I use, and it's served me well. And I don't think I've got any ports open on my network, so it's kind of a non-issue. It's not a guarantee, but it definitely helps. Take a look at Proxmox backup server. I agree. Creamy says, hey, big fan, always showing new things. Question, I'm currently using Nginx Proxy Manager, but I want to migrate to Traffic. Man, I don't know. I've made videos about both Nginx Proxy Manager and Traffic, but for a while I was using Nginx Proxy Manager almost exclusively, and I tried Traffic for a while, and it was cool in what it could do, but for the way my networking was set up, my home lab was set up, it didn't make sense for me to use Traffic because I had multiple pieces of hardware that I was trying to connect to externally via domain names and SSLs and all this sort of stuff. And at least at the time, I don't know about now, but Traffic was causing me issues because of the labeling. Like, the containers needed labels and everything had to be local to the machine, and it was such a nightmare. So I went back to Nginx Proxy Manager and just found workarounds for the issues that I was having. Because Nginx Proxy Manager, you just point ports 80 and 443 to it through your modem and router and whatever to that container, that server, and then you can point to literally any IP address on your network. And that's why I really liked it, is it made it super, super easy to do that. And Traffic wasn't that easy. I've since switched to Cloudflare tunnels. I know there's controversy over that, and I get it. I'm willing to take that risk. But I've been using Cloudflare tunnels for more than a year, and it's served me very, very well for what I've needed. So, so as far as answering your question, I don't know a direct like export import path for that. There may be something out there. There probably is. But yeah, I don't have a solid answer for you on that. If you're running Windows for VMs as a base OS, Veeam, I agree that Veeam actually looks pretty cool, but they've had a lot of, I've seen several posts lately about some nasty vulnerabilities with the Veeam right now. So I would personally stay away from it, at least for the time being. But that's just something personal there. Nighthawk says we have a person in Discord that's really great with Traffic. That's true. I would definitely do that. There should be a link under this video in the video description with links to Discord and whatnot. So definitely do that. The backup sounds great, but that wouldn't work the way for me the setup is. I'd like to load those backups on my PC and then move them. Phew, man. I can only wish you the best at this point, Thomas. Backups are so important. Whether you get a corrupted VM or LXC, whether a backup or whether an update goes wrong, or whether you're trying to move something, backups are super, super important. So I hope you're able to get that sorted. Yeah, the CVE, that's what I was looking for. Thank you, Tanmay. Veeam has had several, or at least I've seen several posts about CVE exploits on Veeam recently. So, let's see. I'm currently hosting 32 things. I turned my gaming PC to a server. I'm on a high of self-hosting. I'm trying to replace everything. I also figure out how to self-host a quick application. That's mainly due to your videos. That's awesome. And I'm glad you're able to kind of extrapolate that data and make it work for other things. That's great. Nighthawk says DB Tech is one of the reasons I have 5 container hosts and almost 100 containers. I believe that. Because this isn't even totally accurate. Let's do this just real quick. Yeah, okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I've got 17 LXCs and 4 VMs running on my Proxmox server. And the keen-eyed among you will notice I've got 2 instances of AdGuard. Don't do that. I need to fix that. I just haven't yet. Like, you should have 2 instances of AdGuard, but not on the same piece of hardware. But yeah, so like some of those LXCs will have 3 or 4 containers for one application, or they'll have like an application and a database and a watchtower and a Portainer agent. So like technically 5 containers per VM. that depends on how you want to extrapolate the data, and do I really have 15, like does Watchtower on 15 separate instances count as 15 versions of Watchtower? But yeah, so I've got a ton of stuff going on over here. But yeah, it's easy, especially depending on what your goals are, depending on what your excitement level is, to have a ton of containers and LXCs and VMs and all kinds of stuff running. It's super easy to just get to overload yourself with a lot of that kind of stuff. My main networking issue has been packaging and approximated wireguard power. It kind of works when I VPN home, but it works differently from device to device. Gonna look into it. Yeah. Remoting in can be kind of finicky depending on how you're doing it. But yeah, so I hope you're able to get that sorted. Dominic says, I updated my Portainer instance and completely screwed up my stacks. Now I can't edit them. So here's what you did. You probably stopped Portainer and deleted Portainer, and then also deleted the Portainer volume. And then when you reinstalled Portainer, it created a new volume. Or maybe you didn't delete the old volume, but you created a Portainer with a different volume name. And so then it looked at what was on the server and was like, hey, there's stuff here. Let's take a look at that. Always make sure that your volume name stays the same when you update Portainer. If it changes or you delete that volume, you're going to end up with that exact issue where you can't manage those containers anymore through Portainer. I say this as somebody who screwed that up so many times. So yeah, that's likely what happened there. Cyberpunk, thanks for hanging out. I probably missed you, but thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you being here. What's the best software for remoting into a PC, like perhaps having it in a browser? I used Guacamole for that for a long time when I needed it for remoting in. I actually made a video about setting up Guacamole with Cloudflare tunnels and demonstrated that working, and it's great. But that's just my preference on how I did that. Cool, we're getting more. Thank you, Linux Masters BE for that assist. Super appreciate that. Trains with Shane is here. Glad to have you here, man. I'm running 11 containers, mostly in a VM with Jellyfin and LXC. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Dominic says, I was thinking about doing an ad guard from my DNS, but do I run that on my server, on my router? So both, sort of. So you would actually install ad guard on your server, whether that's in an LXC or a VM or however you want to do that. And then you want to make sure that that VM or that LXC or whatever has a dedicated IP. And then once you've got that up and running, then you can go into your DNS settings on your router and point to that VM or LXC's IP address, the actual, like the 192.168 or whatever IP address, not the 172.0. whatever that it will tell you when you set it up in your LXC or VM. So you'll install it in one place and reference it on your modem or router. I don't think you're an underachiever, Shane. I think you're doing just great. There's no point in having extraneous stuff you don't need. Then you're just causing issues for yourself. So, Thomas Graff says, hey, hope you're doing fine. You just made a video about Docker Swarm. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. You got the wrong guy. I think I used Docker Swarm once, and it wasn't my shtick, so I quit using it. So I don't use Docker Swarm. I have my HL15 for my production server. I've got an N100 mini PC for my testing server and the server that I make videos on. And I've got a couple of NASs that are running for different things, but that's all I use. I'm currently have a bunch of containers in one LXC. I'm starting to separate some of them. Yeah, that's how I like to do it. I actually made a video about like what was my rationale for doing it the way I did. That kind of explains that. Brian from Seattle says, is AdGuard better than Pi-hole? It's more or less the same thing with a different skin. They both do the same thing. They will both let you do basically the same thing. They just let you do it differently. For me, I had Pi-hole set up for a long time, and I really liked it. But I also like I liked the continually updating live data of it, but then I saw AdGuard and I just prefer the interface on AdGuard better. So I would encourage you to install one of each and see which one you like better. And then what's cool is once you pick the one you want, like let's say you got like 2 instances of Pi-hole set up or 2 instances of AdGuard Home set up, you can then there are other containers like AdGuard Sync or Pi-hole Sync that will allow you to synchronize the two. So if you make changes in one of them, all of your changes will automatically synchronize to the other. Super handy. I've been doing that for a long time. I've heard Guacamole is pretty good. I'll see if I can translate the Cloudflare tunnel to a self-hosted. Yeah, Yo, I think you'll be all right. If you're familiar with how to set up, if you're using, whatever reverse proxy you're using, I think you'll get it. It's not too hard. I use my lab for work, but currently have 90 VMs and 100 LXCs on 3 hosts. That is bonkers. Wow. My production is only 3 LXCs and 3 VMs. Running Docker, yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, that seems a bit more reasonable. But when you're testing, it's so easy to have dozens or hundreds of things up and running all at once. Collins, man, thank you. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you being here. Let's see. Hunter says trying to get around using a reverse proxy like Nginx Proxy Manager for hosting games. I've had servers set up for like Minecraft and Valheim and things like that, and I continually ran into issues trying to make domain names work for those things. So I was always just very careful about just opening ports for those things for those games and forwarding them straight to that server and just being done with it. It's not ideal, but that's what I ended up doing. But I only let a couple of people on my server at any given time. So there's no way to get this to work with Cloudflare tunnels. With game hosting, I don't think there is. I don't. I've tried it and it never works. Anytime I try to like go in and like connect to the server, where you put in like the host name for it, it almost exclusively wants an IP address and doesn't know how to use a DNS server to look up a host name or a domain name or whatever, and I hate it. But that's been my experience, but it has been a while. Collins brings up another good thing with regards to next term. When I did the video on next term, it was still very, very early, and a lot of updates have been done since then. So I don't know how solid next term is for remote access with regards to that. I can only speak to the fact that I've used Guacamole like from 1,000 miles away to remote into a computer here on my local network to do something. I know that Nextterm was working on RDP and that sort of thing. I just don't know how. I don't know how fleshed out it is at this point. Auto deployment and Proxmox for the win with Ansible. Yeah, still not there yet, but a lot of people are. I'm just not there yet. I'm using a thin client with pfSense and AdGuard is built in. Yeah, and I actually really like when firewalls do that kind of stuff. Even some routers are doing that kind of stuff now. I love that. Let's see. Yeah. So, man, I can't believe we got caught up. Dominic says I use Cloudflare tunnels for all my Docker containers that are exposed to the internet. I don't use Proxmox. Not sure why. I would use it over Cloudflare. Proxmox and Cloudflare are two very, very different things. Proxmox is a hypervisor, and Cloudflare is a reverse proxy of sorts. So I use Cloudflare to access things on my Proxmox server. And I've been using Cloudflare. I've actually been using Cloudflare for 15 years, I think, at this point. But primarily back then, when I first started using Cloudflare, it was for DNS management and IP address obfuscation, because we were having issues with our servers that we were using back when I was doing web development. We were getting hacked a lot. Somebody really had it out for us. And so we ended up once we got everything cleaned up, we started having our clients use Cloudflare's DNS to point to our servers so that it would obfuscate our IP addresses and give us like DDoS protection and that kind of thing. So, yeah, Durden, I'm wondering the same thing about the mistype and meaning Nginx. And if you're using tunnels, like if you're comfortable using tunnels, then rock on. That's what I do. The problem that I have with using more traditional means like Nginx Proxy Manager or Traffic Caddy, the dozen of them that are out there, is I don't want open ports on my network. I just don't. So I don't open ports. I use Cloudflare tunnels for that. Cloudflare is pretty much the industry standard. Well, it used to be. Yeah, back when I got started with that, they were the only player in town that was free. There may have been other options, but yeah, I started using them back then because they were free, even for DNS. And now even with tunnels, it's free. There are absolutely paid services that you can use, and I know that when you sign up for certain things, even free services, they ask for a payment method, and that's just for incidentals. They never charge you for anything you don't ask them to charge you for. So if you're using a free service, the credit card or the debit card or the whatever is just there in case you decide to buy more firewall rules or whatever the case is. So, but they're okay. That's good to know. Yeah, I know, and I know that there are probably other players out there now that are good alternatives to Cloudflare, but I've been using them for so long, I don't see any need to learn new things with regards to that, and unless they actually give me a reason to. So I just don't. I mean, like, when I'll set up a Docker that I want to open on my computer, okay. If you use the tunnels, they're great, but try to keep the endpoint and a firewall DMZ within your network or protect. So Creamy asks an interesting question. Do Cloudflare tunnels violate Cloudflare TOS? No, I don't know how they could. They're the same company. Like they're using them for remote access to your hosted services is literally what they do. They have Docker containers for this. So using it in the capacity of, accessing my services remotely is not at all a violation of Cloudflare TOS. However, with regards to things like Jellyfin, Plex, MB, media servers in general, for a long time, Section 2.8 of their terms of service on Cloudflare specifically said don't use it for media server stuff. However, they've done away with Section 2.8 of their TOS, and I know it's weird that I know that it's that exact thing, but it came up a lot in conversation, and it's just, you say it enough, it's like knowing your birthday at this point. They have since removed that, but then it starts getting into CDN or content delivery network status, and that might end up costing you money if you go that route, because they don't want you running media through their free services. There's actually let me see if I can find it. I might even be in Discord, but Cloudflare new TOS blog post. Yeah, here we go. So this was actually, I'm going to post it here in chat. If I can find this, there we go. That is the new revised version of their TOS. In fact, let's just do this. Goodbye, Section 2.8. Hello to Cloudflare's new terms of service. Earlier this year, we blogged about an incident where we mistakenly throttled a customer due to internal confusion about the potential violation of TOS. That incident highlighted a growing point of confusion for many customers. Simply put, our terms had not kept pace with the rapid innovation here at Cloudflare, especially with respect to our developer platform. We're excited to announce new updates that will modernize our terms and cut down on customer confusion and frustration. So this was what was there, right? This was, in fact, that is an image. But yeah, So now they've removed that serving non-HTML content. They've removed that entirely, and have talked about services like stream images in R2 with regards to things that are serving non-HTML content. I probably wouldn't risk it with regards to putting a media server through that, but it's definitely what. Sorry, hold on. Hold on. Payments, weird. Okay. Sorry, it looked like a phishing email from eBay, but it's actually a legit thing. I need to update my banking information so I can receive payments, though I don't know why I would receive payments. I don't know that I'm an eBay affiliate anymore. Anywho, Creamy says, I'm using Plex currently, but wanted to move to Jellyfin, but this was the only thing stopping me. I'd like to revisit, though. Yeah, I would be careful about running a media server through. Sorry, let me do that. I'd be careful about running a media server through Cloudflare tunnels. I wouldn't want to risk it. Just be careful with that. Solo Her says, I'm trying to update my Nextcloud that was installed through Docker. I have a warning from Nextcloud saying I need to update OCC maintenance. We're not going to do troubleshooting on Nextcloud in here. If you want to jump on the Discord and open a tech support help in the forum, you can do that. But I'm not at all a fan of Nextcloud. People have in the past posted solutions to the OCC thing that you're talking about there, but I am one of a select few of people in the world who doesn't like to use Nextcloud, and I don't think you could pay me to like to use it. So yeah, you're gonna have to unfortunately get help with that somewhere else. Durden says I put Plex through tunnels and it was fine. I have done that as well, and it was fine. Like I did it at one point before I had a Plex pass, and like I knew I was going to be in Idaho for a week and I wanted access to my Plex server, so I ran it through there for like a weekend while I was away. But the nice thing is with Plex Pass, and you can get good deals on it periodically. With Plex Pass, you can just log into your Plex account and stream. You can be anywhere and access your server from basically anywhere without port forwarding or without tunnels or without any of that. It just goes through Plex's proxy. Like you're paying for that privilege by getting Plex Pass. So that may also be another option for you to look at. Oh, see, look, there's JD. You need to run it through the Docker. Yeah, so there you go. It looks like maybe JD's got an answer for you there. So yeah, that's what's going on there. So just be careful when it comes to running Plex through Cloudflare tunnels. I run Plex as my main media server with DVR, and Jellyfin is backup if the internet goes down. I'm curious about why you use Jellyfin as a backup if the internet goes down. You can actually configure Plex to not require remote access or to not require remote authentication. That was one of my biggest issues with it initially too. But then I figured out how you can go in and you can turn that off and do all of your authentication locally and not have that issue. Yeah, I agree with that. Plex proxy is limited on bandwidth though. Yeah, I understand that. At the time, I think I was streaming it to a Chromebook or something else that wasn't a high-res, like it was a laptop or a Chromebook or something. And it was because at night I've gotten so used to having certain shows running. We live in kind of a noisy neighborhood, and we've got a noisy kid and noisy cats. And so having the TV as just kind of a constant white noise is something I've gotten so used to over the last decade or whatever that I would often like just put up Plex and I would have like the laptop on the other side of the room just playing the noise more as a white noise machine than anything else. So I didn't care about the actual resolution of what was on the screen. But yeah, so I use Plex Pass for that. and to give a couple of people access to a couple of things. But that's really about all I use it for. Let's see. How to Geek has a write-up on how to make Plex. How to make sure that Plex. That's cool. I believe that Plex clients don't really work well unless there's a setting I missed to fix that. I've never had an issue with the Plex clients. Like, I guess that's not entirely true. The issue that I have with my Plex clients is the hardware that they're on. Like, we've got a TV in the bedroom that we've had for a few years with the native Plex client on it that I've been using. And over time, like, those TVs will stop getting updates. Excuse me. And then those apps will start having problems. And then, of course, you can get a third-party solution, whether it's Google Chrome or a Roku or a Roku stick or an NVIDIA Shield or whatever the case is, and get around that. But the only issue I've ever had with Plex clients is the hardware that they're on, not the client itself. And that's true whether it's here on my local network or away. So not sure what your issue is there. You point it to your local server and not through the Plex TV service. Yeah. When the internet goes down, then try to connect with the client. Oh yeah. So you just make sure that it's set to do local authentication. And like your TV or your hardware should be looking for a local IP address instead of logging in through that. So I do all of my TV stuff, like for my TV and the kids' TV. All of that is set up locally, so that the internet doesn't matter. Why do you have so much hate for Nextcloud? Sounds like you had something bad. So, okay, so it's a couple of reasons. Initially, I really liked the idea of Nextcloud. I liked that it was, I could back up my phone there, and I could keep notes there, and I could have my calendar there, and I could, like, there were so many things that you can do with Nextcloud, right? And I really dug that idea at the beginning. And then, because I didn't have a good backup strategy in place for my rack at the time, it was even before I even had a rack. I had a couple of computers on a shelf, but I didn't have a good backup strategy in place. And there was an update or something went wrong, and I lost everything that was on my Nextcloud instance. And I didn't have the knowledge to go through there and pick through everything to get it back. And I lost some stuff that I was really upset about losing. And then when I got Proxmox set up, and when I started looking through more and more things, I realized that I don't want an all-in-one solution, right? I don't like the idea of putting all of my eggs in one basket. I understand that it's convenient to have everything in one place. I get that, but if it gets corrupted, if it gets down, if it goes down, whatever, right? Like having absolutely everything tied to one container, and having an issue with that container means I don't have access to all of that data for the entire time that I'm trying to fix whatever went wrong. So I've got my photos in one place, and I've got my notes in another place, and I've got things spread out in such a way that makes sense to me, but at this point, I think, and I want to be very clear, this is my thinking on this, Cloudflare is trying to be everything to everyone all of the time. And I don't like that. Like I said, I don't like having all of my eggs in one basket so that if something goes wrong, I lose everything. So I would rather put different things in different baskets, to keep using that analogy, so that if my Notes app goes down, I don't also lose my photos. If my Notes app goes down, I don't also lose whatever else, right? Like they're all separate because I'm paranoid. And look, there are other people in my Discord here who have a very similar take on that, because they also have run into similar issues like I did, and you couldn't pay me to use Nextcloud. I understand it's a great service that's loved by millions of people, but it's not me. It's not for me. I can't make myself like it. And I try about once a year, honestly. I reinstall it and I try it and I'm just like, I guess I get it, but it's not for me. Like, it's just, I don't know. I said managed users. Okay, so going back into Plex there. So sorry, Solo. I hope that answers your question, but that's I've tried it, and I know I made some content about it because people really liked it and people wanted me to make content about it, so I did. And there were updates, and there were changes, and there were fixes, and I made videos about all of that. And then I got to the point where I just hated it because of the things like these random like you need to fix this OCC thing, and then it doesn't tell you what this is, why that's an issue. It doesn't tell you how to fix that. You're just supposed to know, or you're supposed to have somebody else who can just tell you how to fix it, because they don't talk about it, or they didn't talk about it anywhere at the time in any of their setup and configuration stuff. It was just like, here's an error message, best of luck. So then you got to go look through forum posts, and then there's some jerk off in there that's like, I fixed it, right? Or they'll start their forum post with, hey, I've got this issue. I don't know what this means. And lots of people will throw out random ideas that have nothing to do with what the person asked. And then their solution, they've marked as their solution is, I fixed it. Cool, thanks. Way to contribute to the community, you jerk. Like, there's so many things about it that just don't make sense. Like, you have to have constant cron jobs running on it, or it will slow to a crawl and make all of your stuff inaccessible. I actually made a video on how to get around that using Uptime Kuma. Having Uptime Kuma check a specific file on my Nextcloud instance every like 5 minutes to keep cron jobs running literally constantly, to keep everything running smoothly. It's just, I feel like it's a poorly written application that can't maintain itself without somebody holding its hand constantly. Sorry, I don't mean to sound so hateful. I've got lots of opinions about Nextcloud. It really grinds my gears. So let's see. I set up managed users for each TV in the house and log them with my main account on each and set a PIN. Yeah, that's basically what I do with Plex. I've got like one master account that I log into, and then everybody else logs in via that. And it works really well. Creamy says I had lots of issues, so I moved to file browser until I find something where I'm like, yeah, nothing wrong with that. Like my phone backs up to the Synology that's up there, which works out really well for me. Like when I take videos of products or whatever with my phone, whether it's photos or videos or whatever, I can just wait a couple of minutes and then log into my Synology and grab those files from there, rather than having to plug in my phone and like pull the files off of a slow USB connection, whatever. I use the Photos app on my Synology. Works great. And look, I understand not everybody has that. For a while, I also used SyncThing to back up my phone to Open Media Vault. I did that for a long time as well. Before I had Synology Photos and all that stuff set up, I would back up my phone using SyncThing. That worked out really well. Thomas says, DB says, that sounds like you could, but the answer is yes, but should you? The answer is no. And again, that is just a preferential thing for me. What's a good notes app? Man, there are so many note-taking apps. I think I've actually got a playlist. If you go look at my YouTube channel, I've got a playlist about like note-taking, wiki apps, things like that. Self-host. Let's actually jump over to here real quick. Tags, alternative sort. Let's see, is there anything here for like notes? Note taking. Yeah, there you go. Here, I'll just post this in chat. There are so many apps that you can use for note taking and documentation and that sort of thing. I would say try a few out and figure out what works for you. Nextcloud isn't for everyone. I had an instance up for over a year, but found that I had no good use case for it. Yeah, I agree with that. Red Velocity says Nextcloud needs competition, feels dated. feels more dated than robust. I kind of agree with that too. And again, it's the constant maintenance that has to be done to it with cron jobs and that sort of thing, that if you don't run them, it will literally start slowing down because it gets behind on the jobs. Why don't they just build a cron jobs application into it that just runs cron jobs every 5 to 10 minutes? Maybe they have, I don't know, but it's so infuriating. Anyway, sounds like this Nextcloud should come with a stress ball. Dude, that's, yeah, like I feel like if you should be able to buy a Nextcloud like squeezy ball. I actually really like that idea. Bookstack is pretty nice. Yep. I actually have a Bookstack instance up. It's been my longest running self-hosted application, I think. Ch.com. Is it this one? Yeah, there we go. Bookstack. Yeah, I've had this up and running for a really, really long time, 3 years at least. It's been up and running for a really long time. Really love it. It was one of the first note-taking apps I ever used. It's great. Bookstack's pretty nice. You can create books and chapters. Not really Apple Note, but yeah. But there are so many different note-taking apps out there that do so many different things, so many different ways, depending on what your needs are. Like I said, take a look at that link from Self-Host. And yeah, like just play with a few and figure out what you're looking for. Or go watch my videos about note-taking apps. Like I said, I've got a whole playlist for them. I agree with your point. I did crash my Nextcloud after doing an update. I lost my data. It was a pain. I came to the conclusion that it's for company or people who have a full-time support team. Kinda, like unless you're really willing to spend some time setting it up properly, making sure you've got good backups. Here's what I would say. If you wanted to set it up on a Proxmox VM or LXC or something with a good backup strategy, maybe. But outside of that, absolutely not. Unless you've got a really solid backup plan, I wouldn't encourage anyone to use it, because if anything changes or anything goes wrong, you lose access to everything, like your notes, your photos, your everything, your bookmarks. It all goes away in a blink if you don't have a good backup strategy in place. Duke, glad to have you here, man. I'm glad you made it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm even signed in over here. I've been having issues. Oh, hey, it actually did. It actually did post. I've been having issues with my what's it called? Active pieces. I've been having issues with my active pieces not posting recently, and I guess the issue was my fault. That I'd gone in and I tweaked a setting in two of my runs, or whatever they're called, and I thought I saved, and maybe I did, but I didn't actually publish them. So like none of my stuff was getting like posted appropriately for weeks, and I think that was part of the reason that my views were down over the past few weeks on some stuff. But hopefully that won't be an issue anymore. Creamy says, I think I joined when you were talking about this, but do you have any recommendations for a low-powered Proxmox backup server? I currently have mine set up in an Unraid VM, but it would be nice to have a dedicated device. Look, I agree with that. Mine's actually set up in a VM as well, but all of the stuff on that NAS gets backed up to another NAS, but it's like literally right next to it, so it's not technically a really good backup. There are any number of ways that you could do it. What I would probably consider doing is getting a mini PC with like an N100 processor in it. If you can get something that's got I would get a low-powered mini PC with like an N100 processor in it, and something that will support a 2.5-inch drive. Just because okay, so like a while back, I made a video about the iFro K100. This is all NVMe drives in there for storage, which is great, except that storage on NVMe is expensive still. Whereas you can get a good mini PC for a couple $100 that's got a 2.5-inch slot in it, and you can throw whether it's an SSD or even spinning spinning 2.5 inch, and they're relatively cheap. A couple of terabytes might be $100. And then you've got a couple of terabytes of hard drive space for your backups with a Proxmox backup server. That would be my recommendation if you wanted dedicated hardware for it. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Fred says, I miss these all the time too. Oh yeah, Nighthawk said exactly the same thing. So yeah, Nighthawk, are you talking about the one he put scripted on, or is this a different one? Fred says, I miss these all the time too. It was finally able to join. I've been real flaky, unfortunately. Like, it was too hot for a while, with the heat, and this just being a room in my garage, and not having AC in here. I know I can get a portable unit. I had one. I had one. I don't remember if I've still got it or not. It might be out there. Anyway, but it was too much, and we're still having some behavioral issues with the kid and his setup. But yeah, so I didn't do a live stream for like 2 months, and I did one. It was a few weeks later, and another one, and then I've been trying to be more consistent lately. I'm still failing at doing that all of the time. Oh, Nighthawk, you should be able to. You're a mod. You should be able to post whatever you want. Yeah, mods can do whatever. So yeah. So I've been trying to do these more, especially now that the weather has chilled out, and I mean that literally. I don't know what the temperature is outside, but because of the server rack is a space heater in here, and I love that. Because it's okay, yeah, it's 59 degrees outside right now, and it's 68 in here, and I am super comfortable. So yeah, let's see what else. Nothing there. Okay. But now that the weather is nicer, and now that I've got this space heater behind me, I'm trying to do a live stream every Sunday at like between 12 and 1 o'clock p.m. Mountain time. That's usually like GMT -6 or 7, depending on daylight savings time. That's my plan. That's what I'm trying to do. Just because I like communicating, or hanging out with you guys and chatting and BSing and that sort of thing. Duke, that is freedom units, not real world units. So yeah, 68 degrees in freedom units. Let's see. Last time you were streaming. Let's see. Duke says, whatever you're doing for your health, seems to be working. Thank you. January sucked. We've talked about that in previous live streams. It took me like 6 months to get to where I was actually feeling normal again. And then doing the phlebotomy treatment and changing a couple of my meds up a little bit really helped. And then losing some weight has really helped as well. I've still got a long way to go, but I've got my journey started, and that's been going pretty well. But thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I really do. Last time you were streaming, I asked about DIY routers, and you had some good suggestions about mini PCs, but they're out of my price range. The Zima board can be had anything sub $100. I mean, man, I don't know. I honestly don't know. At that point, you'd have to get into probably used or refurbished products. Let's see. Let's do this. Amazon.com. Let's look together. Let's do mini PC with 2 Ethernet ports. Of course, none of these. Yeah, the B-Link EQ13 would have been a great option for that, depending on your traffic. Actually, I had one of these. I sent it to Collins. That's why I was asking Nighthawk earlier about that. The Minis Forum, that actually looks decent. It's got a Celeron in it. That's 124. for the mini PC GK41, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gig SSD. It's got a Celeron processor in it, but again, depending on the amount of traffic you've got going on, it might be fine. But again, it's $124. So, that might be an option for you. What else we got here? 199, 399, 159, 137. Somebody tried to send me something like this here recently. I turned it down. 168, 79, 132. Again, it's another mini swarm. Mini swarm might be the way to go for something like that, depending on what your budget is. Let me take a look. I'm curious about Zima board. Let's look at the 432. Oh yeah, I would absolutely go with with one of those others first, because the 830, like those are still fairly expensive. Oops, why do you keep doing that? There we go. I might look at one of these like this minis for GK41. It's like $50 cheaper. It's $100 cheaper than the 832. You still get 8 gigs of RAM and you get 128 gigs. I would look at that, but that's just my thought. But as far as sub 100, I have no idea. I currently use a Dell Optiflex 3060 micro. Different device. I wish I could post links. There you go. It worked. Nighthawk says I have a Super Micro 1U with 4 800 gig enterprise SSDs at RAID 10, 24 gigs of RAM. Yep. Freedom. Yeah, I agree with that. Just make sure the CPU supports AES-NI, which will help with VPN speeds. There you go. Yeah, Pies are good for hosting certain things. I wouldn't trust them for a VPN. Their throughput, even on the 1 gig, I don't think I'd trust it. The lowest Zima board's $90 on their website. What's the word on the Proxinator? I don't have one. I don't have access to one. Haven't really talked to them about that lately. I actually did a podcast with them a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it went really well. We're just waiting on them to release it. They said they would let me know when it was coming out, but haven't heard anything from them on that. I think the Proxinator is a cool idea. Like I really, really do. But the idea of coming up with like new storage to put in it, or migrating storage to put in it, or what, it just seems so daunting right now. Like I've got other things I need to focus my money on right now. Like yesterday I had to spend like $300 to put a new dishwasher in, and that'll get taken care of in the long run. But it was $300 I didn't want to spend right then. I don't know if you probably heard if you watched my last video or two, or have seen my social media posting. I'm on the verge of e-begging at this point for help with getting my transmission fixed. There have been some people who've been really super generous and donated, and I've reached out to them to thank them for that. But yeah, like I've got to have my transmission fixed. I blew the synchros in second gear, and so I got to take that to a transmission shop and have them fix that, and that's not going to be cheap. And of course, the holidays are coming up, and it's just it's been a bit of a fiasco over the past couple of weeks. Yeah. So let's see what else. So yeah. Anyway, I like the idea of the Proxinator. So I had to refresh how I got off of my tangent. But just the idea of either moving storage or coming up with new storage to put in there just doesn't appeal to me at all right now. Let's see. Thomas says he uses a Dell Thin Client 5070. That's cool. What's the power consumption look like on that? Like 10 watts. Wow. Secondhand FortiGate or Barracuda firewalls are also an option. Most of them. I've seen a lot of, and look, I know I keep crapping on stuff, and I don't mean to, but like FortiGate had a huge vulnerability come out recently too, so be careful with that. What car do I have? I've got a 2010 Kia Forte. And and I love my car. I love my car. It's a lot of fun to drive. It's fun to drive. It's peppy. It's not fast, but it's a 5-speed. It's got tinted windows and a sunroof and a sound system. It's black. It's like I recently did the wheels. I painted them black. It actually turned out pretty well, all things considered. And it doesn't look like I painted the wheels, which is good. But it's black on black on black. And I've had the car for years at this point. And like, this is my second Kia Forte of that body style, of that like model. I had a 2012 Kia Forte EX that was black on black on black. And I loved it. But it was a lease. And then, so the lease was up, I gave it back. And then a few years ago, I had the opportunity to buy basically the same car, a couple of years older. I bought a 2010 instead of a 2012. But I paid $3,000 for it, just cash out, put a new clutch in it. And it's been a champ ever since. But Kia transmissions, unless they've been fixed, are a little finicky. So I imagine the fix is going to be probably $1,000 to $1,500. So that's that. I don't know that yet, though. I've still got to take the car in and have them look at it. But I seriously, I love my car. Like I need to get the transmission fixed, and it'll be rock solid. Cool Shoulder Media says I'm Roach. Oh, dude, cool. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha, Linux Master. I see what you're saying. Oh, Duke says, you're one of the few left driving stick. Glad you're part of the Manual Gearbox Preservation Society. Dude, 100%. Like, I made a video a couple of years ago about a custom Raspberry Pi infotainment system that I built in my car. Or not, I didn't build it in my car, I built it for my car. But like on the display screen, there was the song Pepper was up on the screen, and like I kind of showed my whole console, and somebody was like that song and a manual transmission, like what year is it anyway? And I was like, it's the best year ever. Every time I get in my car, the manual transmission was the biggest selling point of that car when I went to test drive it. I learned to drive a stick when I was 12. For reasons I don't want to get into, but I've been driving a manual transmission for 30 years now, and like I taught my wife how to drive a stick when we were like 15, so her car is also a stick, and we did that on purpose. It makes you pay attention to your driving more. You're more engaged with the car when you're driving a stick. Also, because so few people these days can drive stick, they can't borrow your car. And that was also a deciding factor on why we both got manual transmission cars. But I've always loved driving stick. Literally since I was 12 years old, I like driving stick. And will do it for as long as I possibly can. So yeah, 100% would always, I would absolutely buy this car all over again, even knowing a couple of the issues that it's had. So yeah, things are expensive. I had to drop 35 grand on a new roof last month. Dude, that sucks. Dude, I don't envy that at all, man. That sucks a lot. Manual transmissions keep the car safe nowadays because people don't know how to drive them. Yep. I actually lucked out twice with the Kia thing where the Kia boys were stealing them with a USB cable, because it was like 2011 to like 2022 or something. 2023 was the years that those cars were susceptible to that. The 2010 models were not. So that was a big thing for me. My car wasn't affected, but also because it's a manual transmission, most kids these days don't know how to drive a stick, and I think that's just marvelous. There are so few cars these days being made with manual transmissions. I know some are trying to bring it back or keep it going, but once we get to a point where everything's electric, it's not going to matter anyways. So, how's the health? Covered it a little bit, but just a quick overview. They took a pint of blood out of me for the sake of taking a pint of blood out of me. I was producing too much blood, so they took some. They adjusted my meds a little bit, and overall things are going pretty well. Still doing some tweaking of some things here and there. Still have some doctor's appointments. My last blood work looked pretty good, given my status quo as far as numbers are concerned on labs, other than possibly my lipid panel, which is like cholesterol. I've got hyperlipidemia, which is my cholesterol's high, but that's been an issue for a long time. They've got me on some meds. It's also like my whole family, the whole bloodline, all the way through on both sides, all the way back, has high cholesterol. So they will probably change my meds to get that under better control. But other than that, I got to lose some more weight, and I got to keep going to doctor's appointments. But other than some flu-like symptoms over the last couple of weeks, I've been doing all right. So thank you for asking. I appreciate it. The best thing about driving stick is the ultimate anti-theft device. Yep, I agree with that. Also, I like shifting gears. I like feeling connected to my car. I like knowing that if I need to, I can hit the clutch and downshift and go, rather than waiting on, like, stomping on the gas, waiting for the revs to do something, or the vacuum in the transmission to do something, for the car to be like, oh, you want to downshift now, and then downshifting, and like, and look, I haven't driven an automatic transmission in years at this point, and I know that some of them are super, super responsive now, but again, old man yelling at a cloud based on my experience with driving automatic transmissions for so long. I prefer to drive a stick just because it keeps me engaged with the car. So I've been doing that for a long time. I also started with a cheap, very old Pentium 4 and Debian IP tables as a router. Wow. I never went that intense. Is chat still working? It says it disconnected and reconnected, but I don't know if chat is actually still working. Man, geez. Sorry, looking over here at this monitor, I see the side of my head. I knew I needed a headache, but damn, I'm starting to look like Farrah Fawcett over here. Test. Okay, Creamy says, okay, Creamy has confirmed that the chat is still working. I just wanted to make sure I hadn't lost you guys. So no, my health is going well. Once I get the car fixed, that'll be going well. The kid is doing better with his stuff. For those of you who don't know, we've got a kid. He's gonna be 16 in 2 days. On the more severe end of the autistic spectrum, nonverbal, has a device he can communicate with us, that sort of thing. But I was also recently diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and that kind of spawned from my hospitalization in January. Like, my hospitalization didn't cause it, but he remembered. We're guessing because he can't tell us. We're guessing because of me being gone for so long in 2016. I was like almost 6 months in 2016 due to medical stuff. Then I was gone a good chunk of January this year, and he kind of had a PTSD breakdown and went violent for months. Even after I was home, we finally got him on some meds after a few months, and that has kind of toned down. So now the him being a dickhead is more appropriate to his age versus bipolar and autism. We still see some of that, but he's doing better as well, which has definitely relieved some of the stress in the house. We were all very much on edge, the wife and I were, because we didn't know when he was just going to walk out of his room and attack somebody with no antecedent, no buildup. It was just like he'd be in his room reading a book and then just walk out and attack my wife, his mom, for no reason that we could ascertain by reviewing the footage of the cameras in the house. It was wild for months, which was also part of the reason I couldn't be out here doing live streams, was because I didn't trust him. We didn't trust him. But we've got that mostly under control. We haven't had a violent outburst like that in a couple of months now, which has got us feeling pretty good. Cold Shoulder says, read the room complaining about too much hair to a chat full of balding dudes. That's great. Here's the thing, right? Like I've had this since I was 16. So yeah, like I got super fortunate that like it's starting to thin right here a little bit. But I've been needing to get a haircut for like 2 months and I just haven't cared. But now I'm getting this feathered thing, like looking back in the 80s and 90s, and like, yep, I should get a haircut. But I didn't. I apologize to anybody I may have offended. I wasn't trying to flaunt my luscious locks here. I was just recognizing that, oh, this is getting to a point where I'm not comfortable with it. So I apologize. I hope you will accept that. But yeah, no, I've got my own receding hairline things going on there. Brian says, crazy. Sorry to hear about your son's issues. He's lucky to have a dad that cares so much. It's later. You leaving, Brian? My wife and I make a really good team. We're a really good. Chat disconnected again. I don't understand that. Then it successfully reconnected. I don't understand that. Anyway, maybe it's just on my end. Are you guys seeing the chat disconnecting and reconnecting, or is it just on my end? I'm confused. Anyway, it's doing it again. That's so bizarre. Oh, Brian, cool. No, thank you for your compliment. I really do appreciate it. The wife and I make a really good team as advocates for him. It could be package loss. Everybody else is saying it's working fine. I don't even know. The problem is I'm using Streamlabs OBS, and I don't know. I didn't actually check to see what my stream settings were. Output streaming. My video bitrate set to 5,000. I'm using the 2070 in there. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Weird. Chat's working fine. It's doing it here too. Maybe it doesn't like Colorado. Yeah. So yeah, it looks like there are 3 of us here in Colorado. That's crazy. Yeah, we got one person in Colorado saying it's doing it here too. The only thing I can think of is I'm on Quantum Fiber, so maybe that's the. I don't know. I've been with Quantum Fiber for like 14, almost 15 months now, and it's been great. But I don't know. It could be that I'm using Streamlabs. I don't normally use Streamlabs for my streams, but it was there and it was already connected, so that's what I did. I just want to see, make sure that's turned all the way down. I just want to kind of see what this actually looks like. Okay, yeah, no, it looks fine. Anyway, no, it's you. Yeah, I believe that. You're fine here in New Jersey. Cool. Glad to know that. Sorry, I didn't mean to sound like dismissive with that. I'm glad to know that it's working in New Jersey. But no, that's weird. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, as long as you guys aren't having issues, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing here, and I'll just ignore the thing. Ignore these random disconnect notices that I'm getting there. Oh wow, interesting. Sorry, I was going to take a look at something, but also, so I'm gonna do some self promotion here real quick. Like I mentioned, I am trying to like gather some money to fix my car. If you guys want to donate, there are links down below. Also, there are links down there. If you didn't see my video from yesterday or whenever it was when I did the video about amnesia, whether or not you like amnesia is beside the point. The video is doing well. I'm actually really happy with it. But I recently became a RackNerd affiliate, and if you're looking for an inexpensive VPS solution, they're not sponsoring this. If you're looking for an inexpensive VPS solution, they've got their 11/11 sale going on right now, where you can get a really good deal on a VPS for $11.11 for an entire year with a dedicated IP. So if you're looking for like a remote version of Uptime Kuma, or you're looking for a remote server for something else entirely, RackNerd is a great way to do that. And I know that there are links in the video description below this for that. So if you're looking for a cool, inexpensive VPS solution, I would check them out because they're inexpensive and they work really well. Sorry, I just want to check something here real quick. Affiliates. Just want to look here. Cool. So let's see. That's scary. Place Huddle the Knives. You know what's interesting, Solo? What's interesting that you say that we don't have any guns, and I think it's funny that you assume just because I'm an American that I have a gun. I get that we just don't have guns in the house. We spent too many years with mental health problems here in the house that we just don't have guns. We just don't. We both grew up with guns. Like my wife's dad growing up was a gunsmith. Like I grew up with my granddad. He loaded his own shells for hunting and that sort of thing. Like I used to go out shooting all of the time. We just have guns here. But also, we're fortunate with his aggression in that his is all more grappling style stuff when he does it. And like I said, it's been a couple of months, which has been really nice. But he'll try to like just wrap you up and like press in. He doesn't punch. He doesn't hit. He doesn't kick. It's just like he's looking for like extreme, like he will ask for squeezes, you know, like so we'll give him squeezes on his arms or his legs or his shoulders or whatever is going to help him calm down. So in those moments, we think that what he's looking for when he attacks is he's looking for that intense pressure. And so that's when he attacks, it's more grappling. He's never hit somebody with an object. Like he'll throw things at me, like if we're playing or whatever. Like we'll throw the ball back and forth. He's got like one of those little beach ball things. Like we'll throw that back and forth and that sort of thing. But he doesn't know the concept or doesn't use weapons or any kind of instrument as a weapon. He doesn't attack that way. He used to bite, which luckily he doesn't do that anymore. But no, all of his aggression is like physical grappling more than anything else. And we've just learned how to wrap him up in a way that nobody gets hurt. So we're super fortunate, but I genuinely appreciate your concern and your thinking about that kind of stuff, because it's absolutely something that we could have had to be concerned about if anything had been any different than it currently is. On the Germany side, it also works fine. Good deal. Chat's fine. My early comments didn't post. I'm trying a different device for my mini PC. Look at the 1 liter PCs on eBay. I snagged 4 Lenovo. Yeah, I actually made a video about that, about doing something like that as well. Because like you can actually get like old workstation PCs from like, you know, companies that have upgraded or whatever. You can get decent workstation machines for like $50 or $60 that have, they might not have any storage in them, and maybe they've only got like 8 gigs of RAM in them, but they've got an Intel CPU in them. And you can add cards into them. You can add your own storage and get way more use out of something like that versus an ARM-based device that's going to have more restrictions about what you can put on it. So I'm really glad, Master Billy, that you came back to say that. Just need to buy a 1 terabyte PCI M.2. Are you talking about like a card, or are you looking for the storage itself? Because those are very different questions. Really? Come on, Amazon.com. 16 gig. Oh, so you're probably talking about an M.2 card. M.2 NVMe PCIe card. I mean, it looks like there's a lot of options over here. If I were to suggest one, if you're just looking for like a single, like this Sabrent is probably fine, and it's $18. And I only say that because like I've worked with Sabrent in the past, or Sabrent. I don't know which way it's actually pronounced. I've worked with them. They've been really, really awesome to work with in the past. And it looks like it's got a heat sink on it. Of course, Asus has got some stuff that doesn't surprise me. Like here's an Asus Hyper M.2 that supports 4 M.2 drives for $80. So there are definitely options out there. It just depends on what you're looking for. Like some of these that don't have, that just don't have names, I don't know if I would trust them. Bajavver, probably not going to trust them. There may not be anything wrong with them, but when it comes to certain things, I'm not willing to take the risk. StarTAC might be another good option if you wanted to go that route, but again, that's kind of expensive. It depends on what your budget is. It depends on what you're trying to achieve here. What topics do I have coming down the pipeline? That's an interesting question. I've like I mentioned earlier, I've got a couple of displays coming out. They're both Asus ProArt. Asus sent me a nice little care package. I've also got a new network solution from Asus coming out. I'm still waiting on one more piece of hardware for that. And that's all the Asus stuff I think I've got left to do. I've actually got a project I can't talk about due to NDA coming out in the next month. But that one's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And actually, I'm actually doing some more stuff with Ethan Shawley over at Self Host. Like about a couple of times a month, I'm going to be a guest host. Just because we get along really well, we have a lot of fun when we chat on the podcast that he's got on his channel. So I'll be doing a couple of those a month on his Friday morning videos. As far as content, like on my side of things, let me take a look over here. Oh man, look at my stupid face for a minute. Let me get logged into here. Let's take a look and see what I've got over here. Tell you what, let's take a look. Okay, so this is my Proxmox demo server. This is where I set up an LXC and do testing with a container or a service or whatever. And then this is also the same server I use to make my videos. So Postiz is kind of a cool project that I've actually got set up. Let me do this real quick because I don't know. Postiz, yeah. So sorry, just trying to make sure I don't have anything that's going to pop up and be weird on me here. So I'm contemplating doing a video on this service, this Postiz service, because it's effectively a replacement for something called Buffer. Basically what it does is it allows you to connect to all of these different services and schedule social media posts. Like you can just schedule social media posts. I don't know how else to say it. So if you're familiar with Buffer, you'll be familiar with Postiz. The difference is that you actually have to go in and set up APIs for each of these, or API keys and that sort of thing for each of these different services that you want to be able to post to. And that's kind of my holdup right now is the API stuff, because getting an API key for like Facebook sucks balls. I hate it so much. In order to get an API for X, you have to have X. You have to pay for it, and I'm not giving that guy any of my money. I have it set up with Blue Sky and Mastodon. The problem with it is that currently, at least at the time of me testing it, it only works with native Mastodon. It doesn't work with any of like I'm on Fostodon and it doesn't work for that, so I can't do that yet. I've got it technically set up for Discord, but it doesn't work. So I'm still trying to figure out kind of how to do that. I may have to wait a little while to do this Postiz thing, but it's a cool service. I really do want to do some content on it. ByteStash, I don't remember. LS. Oops. Is it running? It is IPA. So 247. And that's going to be on port 5000. Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. So basically, this is where you can just store code snippets with ByteStash. So I might do that. SafeLine, man. Okay. SafeLine reached out to me, and they asked if I would make a video about their service. And initially, I was really excited to make a video about their service. But then I started doing some research into it, and I got Nighthawk and I got Jake Collins involved in helping me kind of dig through it. And that's that. Earlier in this stream, I mentioned that I recently discovered that my Armada setup doesn't have traffic logs for individual devices. It's because of SafeLine that I discovered that. So SafeLine it's a web application firewall. You can think of it like Nginx Proxy Manager or Traffic on steroids. It's a reverse proxy. It's a firewall. It's an application firewall, not like a network firewall, right? So it does all kinds of really cool things. But I have an issue with it not because it's a Chinese company, right? Like I don't have an issue with that. What I have an issue with is that the application phones home, and the information that it phones home with is encrypted. I don't know if that is to update, because it's also got something like CrowdSec built into it. And I don't know if the data that they're transmitting back and forth, or that it's phoning home for, is to update the CrowdSec-ish data, or if it's reporting data back about what I'm doing. I don't have any way to find out what that is. I've communicated my concern with them about that, and they have said that they swear that they're only getting data about the usage of it. It's like anonymized data about how the application is being used and installed, not the traffic. Okay, fine. Let's say that that's 100% true. Fine. But here's the other issue that I've got with it. I'm going to share this. SafeLine. WAF. Yeah, here we go. I want to get this page to load. Okay. Desktop. Here is the SafeLine website, and it's it's a decent looking website, and it's got all of this information here, and it talks about all of this stuff that it does and how it works, and all of this is really, really cool. Until you get down to this part, until it's like, oh, you can self-host it for free and get some stuff, or you can pay $50 to $100 a month for a web application firewall. And I'm real butthurt about that. That is a ridiculous price. That is outlandish to ask that much money for a web application firewall when I can put something together easier and better using Nginx Proxy Manager and OpenSense for free. Like some of the things that they've got locked behind firewalls is infuriating. And you can't just unlock one thing or another. You have to unlock everything or nothing. And they want $100 a month or $600 a year. And I've just got a middle finger to them for that. Like, I understand that they've got to pay their developers and whatnot, fine. But that's an outrageous price for a self-hosted product. I could think of 100 different ways probably to get the same results for free. And I think that what they've done there is atrocious. So that may be coming down the pipeline. Jim's Garage did a video on it recently, and he was much more forgiving. He did a very good demonstration in his video about how it works, and he covered some of the issues that I've got. Like, I've got a script written that I've thought about recording because I'm real upset about what they're doing there. So let's see. Yeah, and Cloudflare has a WAF for free. Yep. Even Cloudflare paid options are like 10 times cheaper. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Mine had 16 gigs. I saw something about Postez in here. Postez is not like Active Pieces. Postez is one of those things that you have to manually go in and configure your posts. It was, in fact, let me just show you. Oh, did I put it over there? Oh yeah, here we go. Let me get logged in, and I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, so let's switch over to my desktop. This is This is my dummy account that I've got set up for testing purposes. But basically, this is your primary dashboard here, and we can see, you know, like the stuff that I've connected. Sorry, I guess I've got Facebook, Discord, and Blue Sky connected because I can't do Fosstodon. I can only do Mastodon, and Discord just doesn't work for me for some reason. I've gone through their tutorials like a dozen times and it just doesn't work. But this is this week. This is stuff that I have used this to post for Blue Sky, so I can schedule these posts out for whenever. I prefer to go to the month view where I can actually see more of what's going on here. But you can see all of the different stuff that I've scheduled, and like this Discord post didn't go. I've got some stuff for Blue Sky there, but basically you can just go in and schedule posts. You know, you can just say on the, where did it go? Oh no, where did it go? Oh, so you can just like select a day, and then, you know, you can type your message, and then you can select, you know, like what platforms you want it to go to, and then you can either add it to your calendar or post it now. And then the time and date, you have to like, it's up here, and I feel like there needs to be a call to action to this because I always miss it. You can upload media. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this. It's a really good self-hosted version of Buffer, but there's just some stuff that needs to be done with it first. It is not automated. It doesn't do things the same way that Active Pieces does. This is a very manual process. Phone home options for a WAF of kind of plans. You should be able to turn that off, and it should clear state that it does that. Not cool. Yeah. I agree with all of that, Linux Masters. And again, I don't know, there's a spot in there where you can turn off the CrowdSec-esque type stuff, but I don't like that it phones home, especially since I can't guarantee what it's phoning home with. So I may make that as a bit of a rant piece this week, because I've already got the script written and I've already got all of the footage I need. But I really wanted to get the video out yesterday for the 11/11 sale over on RackNerd, because I want to make sure you guys actually get a really good deal on that, because it's awesome. Creamy, thanks for hanging out, man. Really appreciate it. Proxy Manager UI, it's not being developed anymore. Klubrick, there actually is an Nginx Proxy Manager fork. Proxy Manager fork. Yeah, leave. I don't care. Sorry, I'm looking it up. And I can't think of what it's called. It's actually been brought up a few times. It's been brought up a few times as an alternative to Nginx Proxy Manager. Alternative. That was 2 years ago. I need something much more recent than that. Somebody in here will have an answer for that, I'm sure. But I know that there is an option for that where somebody did that. Yeah. Develop anymore. Yeah. I can't think of what it is. It's been so long since I've actually looked at a reverse proxy. I am really out of touch. I'm really out of touch with what is out there for reverse proxies, just because I haven't touched them in so long. But yeah, I'm just trying to see. This is like 3 years ago. That's not what I want. Cloudflare, Swag, Cloudflare, Caddy Server, Xeraxi. I have no idea. I feel like, sorry, I got to show you this. This Krazelberg says, my certs with NPM will expire in 15 years. Why do you want to renew certs so often? I actually made a video talking about how to set up exactly 15 years for certs. I feel like this person watched my content. Specifically, like the video that I made about that. Yeah, they had to have watched my video about that to be that specific about it. Just one of those weird random things. It's still weird for me to like get on Reddit and see like, you know, somebody will ask a question and I'll think, oh, I made a video about that. And then I see somebody has already referenced my video in their response. It's still, even though I've been doing this for years, it's still weird to see my name come up in these conversations. And I don't know why. Zeraxi. But it still weirds me out, like in a good way. It's still kind of surreal to see people out there recommending my content to solve their issues. Zeraxi, that's one I've heard about the most. Yeah, I really liked the simplicity of Nginx Proxy Manager as well. The problem is, or was for a long time, that like when you were going through the SSL setup process, when you were setting up the domain, there was a spot to check to make sure that the domain was actually pointed to you, and that started failing. And I opened a ticket about it the first time I noticed it, and it just went unanswered for years. And then I found the workaround for it was to build the SSL for it first, and then you could skip that step. But I hated having to do the workaround. It felt disingenuous to the initial workflow. So I loved Nginx Proxy Manager, used it for years, loved it, and then it started falling apart. And then I was luckily able to replace it with Cloudflare tunnels. Solo says, wow, that price is completely out of reach for most people. That's corporate pricing for medium to large companies. Few people, yeah, but that's just it. Even a small to medium sized business or an SMB isn't going to pay that much when they can get OpenSense or another free firewall and a reverse proxy and damn it, Nighthawk actually made a suggestion about it the other day when we were talking about it. But even like there's so many Go Access, like and have all of your visualizations and have and you can just set up all of this stuff for free. And yes, I understand that this safe line is pre-built, ready to go, plug and play, whatever. But that price is gross. If it was maybe $10 a month, I might not have an issue with it. But again, I want the ability to turn off the phoning home. I don't like that they're phoning home, and I don't know what that data is. So yeah, it's just a Go Access. Yeah. In fact, I think I made a video about Go Access too. When it was still very early in development. I think Go Access was still very early in development, and I kind of feel bad for the developer when that happened because he wasn't expecting the influx of traffic that I gave him. What medium or large company is going back to that too. What medium or large company is going back to an unknown company? They're not. I can't imagine just out of the blue some safe, some random company is like, oh yeah, we've got this application firewall that's going to charge you, we're going to charge you a ton of money for, and we're not going to tell you what data we're transmitting back. I can't imagine anybody doing that. Like if we look at their GitHub for SafeLine, they've got 12.7 thousand stars, 790 forks. They've got a Docker Compose here. That's not unreasonable. It's got several containers in it. And I think it's got an env file somewhere in there for different things, but yeah, that price and it phones home. I don't think so. So anyway, I might make that video. I might rant about that for a while, even more than I am right now, in an upcoming video here very soon. Because I think Jim's Garage did a great demo of it, but sometimes I like to rant, and sometimes my rant videos get good traction. So yeah, they'll use the established brands: OpenSense, pfSense, Cloudflare tunnels, Nginx Proxy Manager, Traffic, Caddy, even setting up a Grafana dashboard to import data if they want to go that route. There are so many free options out there that are well established. I can't imagine paying, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but it's paying a new unknown company that kind of money for a web application firewall is just, it blows my mind. It really, really blows my mind. So I might make that rant video this week while I work on the Asus ProArt monitor video that I'm working on, and hopefully I'll hear something back. Oh geez, crap, we still connected, we're good, sorry. So we'll see what happens, but I've definitely got more content coming, and hopefully you guys will do some awesome stuff, and let me know in the comment section of different videos or on the community tab or whatever, the things you'd like to see me do. Like, one of the things I really think I need to do, and I know I've talked about this a dozen times, is I need to go back through my old content and refresh it, make new versions of old content. The problem is, very often when I say, like, hey guys, I'll create a community post. Hey guys, I want to go back through some of my old content, and I want to make new versions of this old content because I may have missed something, or it may be outdated. What would you like to see me make a revisited content piece on? I inevitably get answers to everything except the question I asked. You know, it's like, well, you should make a video about this thing you've never talked about before in your life. Or you should make a video about how to do this Chromebook thing. Or you should make a video about how to fix this very specific issue that I've got with Nextcloud. I never get a solid answer when I ask a question like, out of the videos I've already made that are older, which of them should I remake? I never get a straight answer on any of that. And that gets frustrating. It gets super frustrating when I just can't get a straight answer of, like, go find a video of mine that you think I should remake. And I never get an answer on that. I get every other answer in the world but that, and it's super, super frustrating. So I know there's content I need to remake. It won't be Nextcloud, I promise that. It won't be traffic. It probably won't be an Nginx proxy manager, but I've definitely got to do some new takes on some old videos. Because I've learned a lot. They've probably developed a lot. I know I needed to do another look at next term. I know I just did a video on next term not that long ago, but a bunch of big changes came out like 3 days after I released that video. And that seems to be the story of my life. But yeah, if you guys have ideas of content I've already made that I should revisit, as long as it's not a reverse proxy or Nextcloud, let me know somewhere in the community tab or on a video. And I've never made a video about NetBird, but thanks for playing. I appreciate that. I've heard about NetBird. I haven't actually ever looked into it. I don't know what NetBird is. I feel like it's a reverse proxy, or yeah, some sort of a a new active pieces would be more. Yeah, I've thought about active pieces as well. Link stack refresh, dude. I'm a little butthurt about link stack right now, if I'm being completely honest. Look, I use it. It's great. I actually had a public link stack instance up where people could register and have their own profiles. And then here recently, I got like 3,500 spam accounts in the course of just a couple of days, and they were all promoting porn and gambling. So I opened an issue or a ticket or whatever on the Linkstack GitHub. It's like, hey, it'd be really cool if there was an option to have checkboxes next to the accounts where you could check, say, a dozen boxes and click delete and have those accounts go away. And they're like, yeah, that would be neat, but that would involve us completely rebuilding the entire front end. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And I know that I could have gone in with, with a database manager like phpMyAdmin or whatever and done it much more quickly, but databases scare me. They do. I don't like messing with them if I can help it. So I went through and deleted like hundreds, thousands of accounts one by one. By like, I've got like a 2-monitor setup. I've got a big monitor. I've got a little monitor below it. So I put like an hour-long YouTube video at my bottom monitor, and I went to the users page and I clicked delete and spacebar and delete and spacebar and delete and spacebar, because it's delete and confirm and delete and confirm and delete and confirm. And I did that while I watched this video. And I just shut off registration. I shut off all of it. And I added a thing to my profile that was like, hey, sorry, this was supposed to be a community. I was very explicit in my terms of service that if this kept being an issue that I was going to shut it down. I got this influx. I had to shut it down. Sorry for those who were affected. I actually did that, I think, yesterday or the day before, because I can't believe that they didn't consider adding a multi-delete option in a community setup like this, where you're going to have hundreds of accounts that may need to be deleted simultaneously and have to do it one at a time, or actually dig into the database is super frustrating. There should have been an option from the start to check a box or check 10 boxes and click delete, and they didn't do that, and that's super frustrating. So, so I don't know. I haven't decided yet. The thing is, like, they still haven't added threads. They still haven't added blue sky. They still haven't added. There's still some things in there that I think they need to add to the social media icons across the top of the page. Is it this? Yeah. So, yeah. So like this is the profile. This is now the homepage as well. I updated this yesterday, but like for these different options here, there's no way to. Like I said, they haven't added threads or blue sky, and I just checked for updates. There didn't seem to be one. Maybe there is a different version that I haven't checked. I don't know. Excuse me, but you know, I've got like resource sites here. I've got all of this, and then here I added this just because I felt like I was left with no other choice, just because it was such an issue with spammers, with gambling sites and porn sites and just all kinds of stuff. So I just deleted everything. Now the site is only for me, and I feel bad for people who were negatively affected, but that's what I felt I had to do because it was getting out of control. Price you would pay for those minis forum PCs. You can literally build a powerful PC. So Solo asks, what's the maximum price you would pay for those mini forums PCs? I find they're often so expensive that you can literally build a powerful PC. Are they really worth $900 or more? That's a question you have to ask yourself, right? Like let's look at this. Let's look at the minis forum MS01. Let's actually look at this, right? Minis forum MS01. This $700, right? It's got a Core i9-13900H, which is their mobile processor still, and no completely bare bones. Or for $839, you can get 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. Man, of course it's not going to show it there. Why would it? But here's the thing, and I'm scrolling down, like, right. 13th gen i9 CPU, dual USB 4. It's actually got a standard PCI interface. So if you had a low profile card, like a graphics card or whatever, that doesn't require more than 75 watts, you can plug it into the bottom of the device and have that card there as well. It's got dual 2.5 gig ports for networking, triple NVMe, and if I can find a picture of the back, it's also got 2 SFP Plus ports and an HDMI port. So all of that in a very, very small form factor, that seems like a really good deal to me. Now, look, and that 839 was with 32 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte drive. Are you going to be able to get 32 gigs of RAM and a terabyte SSD for $160? I don't know. That's something you got to figure out for yourself. But to be able to just drop, $800, $900 and get that much connectivity, that much speed, that much power, it may not be worth it to you. You may not need that particular configuration. It's also got Intel vPro, which is an awesome technology, which is very business class, gives you all kinds of additional management things that you can do with this kind of. There's so much that's available in like the Minis Forum MS01. I would love to have a Minis Forum MS01. In fact, I reached out to them months ago about possibly working together, and they wouldn't even return my calls, so to speak. Like, I reached out to them via email and via social media and never heard back from them, which made me feel sad. But as far as if I had the budget for it and needed something like this, I would absolutely consider an MS-01. But like there are other minis forum PCs out there that we looked at earlier in this stream that were like $200 or less. They're very much more on par with that are much more on par with like this B-Link SEI, right? They're not necessarily this form factor, but they're more on par with this, and they're $200 or $300. So you got to figure out what your needs are and decide whether or not your budget will be sufficient for that, or you can absolutely go build something for the same price, like the video that I did a while back about the Asus NUC 14 Pro Plus. Basically this form factor, a little bit different. It's instead of being 4x4, it was 5x4 inches roughly, but it was expensive. It was like $1,200. And I don't know if I could justify that price for what I do. Now, if I was doing a lot of AI stuff, a lot of stuff that used the NPU that was on it, absolutely, it might be worth it. But for what I do, I wouldn't pay that price. It's all based on what your needs are. But the new series of Intel chips are all coming with NPUs on them. And I really feel like if you've got a mini PC or any PC with an Intel chip with an NPU, you're never going to touch that NPU if you've got a graphics card. It's a weird thing that they're doing for AI stuff. So I don't know, because applications also have to be written to support the NPU, and until NPUs are more prevalent in CPUs, we're at a chicken and egg situation here. Like, do you build the applications for the NPU before the NPU comes out, or do you saturate the market with CPUs with NPUs so that people can then write applications for the NPUs? Because NPUs are still so new, they're more expensive. So I don't know that makes sense for me. I've only got that mini PC that I actually still use as my daily driver because it was given to me by Asus. So as far as is it worth it, that's a decision you have to ask yourself. You got to come up with that. Does it make more sense to have an all-in-one system that won't necessarily be upgradable all that long for $900, but you've got a badass system for right now, or do you want to build something that you can continue to upgrade over however long? That's the question, really. I have looked at TechnoTem's Little Link server. I actually made a video about it. Yeah, actually, I did make a video about that when it first came out. Very powerful. Integrating that power on option for self-build system would be challenging for that price. I think, yeah, having dual 2.5 gig NICs, having dual SFP plus ports, having USB 4, like having all of that. But here's the other part of that is, part of that price is the small form factor. Like you could probably build something like that in an ITX case or an ATX case. But is it going to be a 13th gen Intel? Is it going to have vPro? Is it going to have 10 gig and 2.5 gig, 2 ports each? Is it going to have USB 4? Right? Like, are you going to have all of those features built into it? And are you going to be able to put it in a very small, confined space? It's you got to figure out what your needs are and figure out if it makes sense to do that. So yeah. I've actually used. We told y'all. Says we use the B-Link. I use B-Link's SE6 Pros. B-Links are great little devices. I've had a couple of them that I've tested. The SEI was great. I actually used that as my daily driver for months until I got something else. I don't remember what it was now. Oh, it was, yeah, I do. I mean, I can't think of the name of it, but it was kind of an off-brand I hadn't heard of that the folks at Banggood reached out and sent me. And it was a great little device too. But now I've got the Asus NUC 14 Pro Plus. But the B-Links are great little devices. Sometimes, here's the thing. One of them I ran into issues with because of the operating system, I'm pretty sure, which isn't necessarily an issue because I really believe anytime you get a device that has an operating system on it, you should export the drivers for that device and then do a full reinstall of the OS and then import your drivers. Just because you don't know who did what to that device before you got it. You know, there was an issue with, crap, who was it that made, of course, those are tires. Ace Magic made a mini PC called the AD08. It was the letters AD and the numbers 08. They came with malware on it that somebody made a video on, and I was like, well, crap, I'm using that as my Plex server right now. So I remoted into it, and I navigated to the folder where the person who made the original video had showed where to go. And when I went in there, there was like 10 files. And then there were 9 files, and then there were 6 files, and then there were 3 files, and then there was 1 file. It was like it was programmed to know once I opened that folder to delete the evidence instantly. And it was at that point I really, really realized, no, when you get these devices, there's a command in Windows that you can run that will export all of your drivers into a nice little package, a nice little folder, thumb drive, whatever. And then you take that thumb drive out and you do a full reinstall of your operating system and you plug that USB drive back in and you import your drivers. And it was because of Ace Magic that I learned that the hard way. So the issue that I had with the B-Link was likely was a misconfiguration on the setup when they cloned the drive over to the SSD that they put in there. But a lot of their stuff that I've tested has been really, really good. So yeah, B-Link is great. Really, really dig it. Audio drivers I installed in boot had to do some digging. Yeah, audio drivers can be a pain sometimes. That's one of the biggest questions that I still get asked about the old Chromebook videos I used to do. You know, people will install Ubuntu on their Chromebook via my videos, and they'll be like, "Oh, the audio doesn't work." And I was like, "Yeah, in the video I said the audio wouldn't work, and that you would have to go and figure out what your chipset is for your audio system, and go find the drivers for that, and then install the drivers for that chipset for your system." But it can be daunting to have to do that, especially if you've got an old Chromebook you're just trying to get some more mileage out of because Google EOL'd it. So yeah, it's a whole thing. But I don't typically run Linux as a desktop. I have even in the last couple of years I have. It just sometimes it gets to be too much and I don't feel like dealing with it. But yeah. Oh man, I cannot believe I haven't had a drink of water this whole time. Damn cat. Oh, water's good. So I've done a lot of ranting unintentionally here and didn't get to the main point of the video at all. My plan was to, well, I guess I kind of did. My plan was to do some updates and let you guys watch me do that. And I did one. I guess I did one for my video vote thing. But yeah. So I think, man, we've been at this for 2 hours. Like 45 minutes. That is crazy that you guys hang out with me for this long. If you haven't already, it'd be really cool if you give the video a like if you've enjoyed hanging out today. Again, links in the video description for helping me pay for my transmission and affiliate links for NerdRack if you want to check those out. Only if you can. Please don't put yourself out. Like seriously, take care of you and yours first. But yeah, let's do this real quick. Is there anything new here? Oh, all right, no worries. But I think my voice is starting to go. I can kind of feel the soreness working its way in here. Last time we only did about 2.5 hours. Yep, RackNerd. Yep, I probably said that wrong. I say things wrong a lot, and then I catch myself in the edit. But I can't edit when I'm doing live streams. So. Do you know how long the RackNerd sale will last? I don't. I've actually wondered that myself. As far as how long the RackNerd 1111 sale will go, it's been going for a few days, but beyond that, I don't know. Nighthawk is actually the one that told me about it, but I couldn't find any good. How long is the RackNerd And it doesn't say. Let me see. Let's investigate this together. This was this NetCup. I lost all my data. It doesn't actually say here or on their website. I signed up for mine like 6 months after the one 2 years ago. Oh, well, so it sounds like it'll be running for a while. Trip, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I appreciate that looking healthy. I've been working on that. I actually need a haircut. We were talking about that earlier. I was looking over at my screen over here and I was like, oh, I've got this Farrah Fawcett from the 80s thing going on there. And I offended some people with some male pattern baldness, and I apologized for that. But I really do need to get a haircut. I don't like my hair being this long. I never have. I've never liked having my hair touching my ears. I've just been super lazy about getting out and going and getting a haircut. So that's hopefully on my agenda for this week. I'll probably leave most of the length on the top, but definitely want to take off some of the length on the side. Thank you. I do appreciate that, though. It may actually look different, and this is going to be dumb. It may look different because I got different glasses recently. My other pair looked very similar to this, but they were black frames, and I got clear. And I did that because of YouTube. Because when I'm sitting here, like obviously I've still got like shadows here, but with the black frames, it was like really bad. So I got the clear frames, and it helps a bit. Also, I got them through a company called Zenny, and I'm an affiliate with them. I need to promote them more too. But so my insurance that I've got covered my eye exam, but my lenses and frames out the door was like $60 delivered. And that's like I've got single vision lenses and anti-glare, anti-scratch. But the lenses and frames were shipped to me on my door for like $60. Where this would have been hundreds and hundreds of dollars at my local eye doctor. So, and even my wife, to just to promote Zenny here for a minute. My wife also got her eyes checked and her glasses through Zenny. DB, hold on, I gotta find it. ECH. I think there we go. Hold on 1 second. Oh, come on. Cannot type. Yeah, so if you guys are looking for glasses, I'll just share this. Copy link address. That's literally the pair of glasses I ordered. That Zenny Clear link that I just shared. That's an affiliate link. And yeah, they got to me in like a week. I didn't really need new glasses, but I was like, for $60 and I'll get the clear lenses so I get fewer shadows on my face when I'm recording. Let's do that. So I did. But my wife got some glasses from the same eye doctor years ago. For the prescription, she had transition, or not transitions. Anyway, it's like bifocals, but without the progressives. That's what they are. She got progressives with the tint and the frames from this local eye doctor. Cost us $900. Basically the same thing with the progressives and the frames and the lenses and the transitions through Zenny was like $285 this last time. So Zenny is an awesome company if you need glasses and you need them cheap and you need them actually relatively quick. Zenny, my last 2 pairs of glasses have been through them, and they've been amazing. So yeah, I would absolutely consider going with Zenny. I pay for my multifocal lenses at Zenny. What single focus lenses? Yeah, 100% what Nighthawk said there. In fact, when we went and got our eyes tested a few weeks ago, the doctor, of course, wanted us to get our frames and lenses through her practice, because that's very much where they make their money, is on the markup on the lenses and frames. But when we were like, no, we're going to go to Zenny, she's like, well, can Zenny do this and that and the other thing like we've done? And they had actually run both of our glasses through their little machine. And we're like, yeah, actually, according to your machine, they can. So unfortunately, we can't give you $900 for a pair of glasses when I can get the same thing for cheaper. In fact, the glasses that she got through the optometrist here, even with the scratch protection on them, they scratched. They scratched very, very quickly. And we were both furious. Like, we paid extra for this protection, and we got glasses and frames and lenses and everything with that protection through Zenny. Never had an issue with them. Never had a scratch on either of our lenses, until she smacked herself in the face with a broom or something one time, and the thing, like, it didn't chip it. It actually like left a marred spot. But yeah, we couldn't justify like $900 for a pair of glasses when we get the same thing for less than $3 from somewhere else and get them faster with better quality. We just couldn't do it. So Zenny, absolutely check out Zenny. They're amazing. Been a fan of theirs for a couple of years. Just became an affiliate of theirs recently, and have done no promotion for them yet until now. So thanks for being guinea pigs. But no, they've been great. RackNerd's been amazing. They've been a lot of fun to work with. They hooked me up, like I mentioned in my video yesterday, with a 1 gig VPS, so I can make more videos if I want to do that. And their affiliate program's great. It really is. In fact, they've actually started liking my content and sharing my content over on Twitter. They don't follow anybody, so I'm not upset that they don't follow me, but they do pretty good about like actually like retweeting my stuff recently. So that's been nice. Yeah. What do we have going on here? Oh, that was for Canva. That's fine. Sorry, just gotta check the notifications periodically, just to make sure I'm not missing anything over here. Some of the comments I get, man, I've had to learn to ignore them, mute them, whatever. Some people miss the point of the topic at hand with being pedantic. So anyway, I think honestly, guys, at this point, we've been at this for about 3 hours. My voice, I can feel my voice starting to go a little bit. So I think I'm going to get off of here. I do, again, want to thank you guys for hanging out. I really do enjoy doing this with you guys and hanging out and chatting about all kinds of random stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. I really do appreciate you guys for hanging out and chatting with me for the last few hours today. So yeah, definitely check out the links in the video description. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I think I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here, but I will definitely talk to you guys here again very, very soon. So have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.